Welcome back to Dirt Sociable. We got another special guest here, Luke Stubbs, which I like to give these nicknames. I'm going to try this one, the Smokey Yunick of off-road racing. I think it's awfully fitting. There's also some other nicknames that would work for more your automotive end, but I think the Smokey Yunick of off-road racing is kind of a good basis there. But yeah, really glad to have you join us. You're a big part of off-road that, a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, and you're racing yourself. So
yeah,
really
good to be here.
Yeah. So we usually start this off with a couple warm-up questions, and I guess I want to start out with asking, where'd you get your passion for speed, horsepower?
And I mean, when I was honestly, my dad, growing up, my dad really never did anything automotive. He barely knew how to change oil. So when I got to drive, 16, 17 years old, I just kind of started liking speed, and I got my first DSM back then, because they were cheap. I mean, they were cheap 4-cylinder cars, and I convinced my parents that, yeah, it's a cheap 4-cylinder. I can, get this thing, and it'll be good on gas and whatnot.
Yeah.
And, they didn't know at the time, but yeah, turbo, the whole DSM story behind that. I mean, they're pretty quick cars, but, once you kind of get bitten by that speed bug, it never goes away. So it was just a passion that kind of grew, going through a little bit of last years of high school and then into college. It's kind of funny because in high school, all my classes, everything was focused towards computer science, towards college, towards doing computer programming stuff. And the last semester of high school, I took my first automotive class. I had no experience in automotive other than that. Once I got into college, I found myself falling asleep in lecture halls and just bored out of my mind with, 200, 300 people lecture halls. And I started reading more. The internet was, just coming about back then. That was late 90s. There was different than there was today with the forums and stuff, but they still had them, and just kind of developed and kept reading, kept trying stuff, and kept pushing that car and learning, and then finally got to the point where, we did a lot of street racing back then.
Yeah.
That's really where it started, and we found out we were pretty quick. Like one of the quicker cars, we were beating Mustangs, Camaros, Corvettes, that kind of thing. And then just because of that, people started just bringing me stuff. And, I worked out in my car a little bit at my parents' house at the time. I mean, I was still in college, and they were bringing me cars to work on. They're like, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? And finally my parents were like, you can't be doing that out of our garage here. So I got kicked out of there and got a little 2-stall garage that we could fit 3 cars in if we turned one sideways, but you couldn't really walk around it, so it didn't make any sense. But that's kind of where Beyond Redline started, was that garage.
The 2-stall garage.
2-stall garage. And if anybody knows, it's behind Highland Howie's is where that garage started. And we got kicked out of there very quickly because of zoning. We weren't zoned for that. That was just a storage garage for them. And so that led us to, led me to say, all right, am I going to make a career out of this? I mean, we just kept getting more and more work, just word of mouth.
Yeah.
So am I going to go try to do this for real, or am I going to, go pursue computer? And at that time, I was so done with going to school and going to college. I wanted to take a little break anyways. And so I tried that, and it kind of turned into where we are today.
Yeah. Awesome. You wrapped up even the second question I had lined up for you.
Oh.
Yeah. So then how did off-road get introduced into the business?
I would go to the off-road races from my brother-in-law, actually.
Okay.
We worked together at a machine shop right over here in the industrial park in East Mason.
Okay.
And he always ran Class 6.
Okay.
From the time, I think it was Good Old Boys back then.
Yeah.
He actually ran, what the heck was it? Class 13 with Evan Evans.
Okay.
Way back with the Shaboom's truck. That's where he got his, but he brought me to Crandon in 99, I think, or 2000 was my first year at Crandon, and I loved it so much I stayed ever since as a spectator.
Yeah.
I've been doing the engine stuff all along, and I'm real good friends with Todd Goodwin, Goodwin Competition, and he's been doing off-road engines forever. And 2015, was it 2015? 2015, Fall Cran in 2015. He had been doing the engines for Jenkins, and they had been having terrible luck with finishing any races that year. That was the first year that, at the time, Torque let fuel injection into the Pro 4 category. I don't know if it was Pro 2 back then or not, but Pro 4 for sure.
Yep.
So I came along in the Fall Cran in to observe, and I just kind of watched. They had AEM engineers at every event that year, and I don't think, man, I don't even know if Jenkins finished one race that year. I think it was a DNF every race due to fuel injection issues of some sort.
Mechanical failure stuff.
Something, electronics, whatever. So I just kind of observed, took it all in. I was familiar with the AEM Infinity at the time from the other side of the world with the car stuff, so it wasn't foreign to me. But that was my first real taste of like the fuel injection part of off-road. And I looked at it and I said, well, I think I can, make this work, and I studied what kind of failures they had and how to fix them. And in 2016, I was basically hired full-time for Jenkins to do his fuel injection stuff all year.
Oh, wow.
I also did Kwame's that year and Douglas's that year. I think he was maybe a late in the year 2016. And we got it. And we proved it worked right. I mean, it worked really good on Jenkins.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, I think Johnny noticed that I was kind of hanging around that pit. And then he asked me, he said, hey, can you help us sort this stuff out with the Toyota stuff? And I said, yeah. 2017, spring 2017, I, helped Toyota sort their stuff out and help Johnny get their trucks running. And then I kind of hung out with them, since then.
Yeah, and some other, as I got further on down, there's some other Toyota projects that kind of sprouted from there as well.
Yeah, working with TRD, we worked with the sprint car stuff and, down the road with them developing a new engine and stuff. But, it was good. But that's where kind of off-road started, and then it just kept going and going and going.
Somehow Johnny Greaves finds his way into a lot of stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's many stories that get told that Johnny Greaves hasn't been a part of on the off-road aspect.
Yeah.
All right, that's a really good warm-up. I think we should get in the sight lap. Get those. We ask our guest 6 questions. Every single guest gets them, so they can kind of cross-compare.
Okay.
And then we'll dig back into some more of the history and everything else going on.
Okay.
So
this one's probably more on the racing side. Which is your favorite track of all time?
Bark River.
In 2026, which one are you looking forward to most?
Driving? Yeah. Probably Bark River.
All right. Yeah. Fair. Good answer.
Yeah. What do you think of the changes that Bark River's gone through, taking out that tabletop by the county road, and then many years ago that taking out the rhythm section or the double-double?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it how it used to be, probably better than it is today. It's not bad with the tabletop where they added the tabletop, took out the rhythm. That's not bad. I wish they'd keep the tabletop by the road. It was fun coming over there because you kind of slide up the face ledge jump and, grease that landing and set you up for the next left-hander. And it was, that's a fun turn. Fun. You kind of miss that.
Yeah, there's been people that have pushed too far and gone into that wall. There's people that have over-rotated and gone into that swampy area there.
Yep.
So, yeah, I agree. That tabletop would be nice to bring back. If you could make any other changes to the track, what would you?
Bark River?
Yeah.
I think it's good. I mean, I like it. I like how it races. I like how flowy it is. It's a higher speed track. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've always done well there, typically. I did go in the creek once.
Which one? The one by before Taco Bell or the one at that tabletop?
Before Taco Bell, I had landed off that the jump right before the chicane.
Yeah. And
the right rear axle broke and the tire left the chat, and it like turned the whole car and drug me off the track. And obviously I went for the brakes. There's no axle, there's no nothing, no brakes, so you're just not along for the ride at that point and cruise right down in the creek.
Was that the time that all the radial arms wrapped around the axle?
That was Crandon.
Oh, that was Crandon.
That was Crandon and Polaris. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
I just remember seeing that pic. That was wild.
Yeah. Yeah, we can cover that. Yep. I mean, that was kind of a unique story, but yeah.
Yeah. Why don't we jump into that right away then?
Crandon, obviously, is probably the gnarliest track for jumps.
Yeah.
No landings.
No landings, you're flat landing. And that last jump, you always, it's going down the front straight, that last jump, the barn jump, you go off, and you sometimes can land a little sideways off it because you're setting up for the barn turn.
Yeah.
And I think it was practice was the first one. So that happened twice that weekend. The practice was the first one, and I came off that, landed just a little sideways. It might have been the first lap off that at speed. I think I made it around once and then coming back around. First lap at speed, I landed just a little sideways off that, and I first thought we didn't tighten the bolts on the hub.
Oh.
And it sheared all the bolts. And that allowed the hub to rotate and wrap the radius rods right around the axle.
Yeah.
Because it broke free from the trailing arm. So I'm like, oh man, what do we do now? That was practice. We went back, got a whole bunch of stuff from Green Bay. We had enough spare parts to fix it, put it all back together. Literally qualifying first lap, same thing, same jump. And I said, and this time I knew, I thought, well, maybe we left the bolts loose or something. This time, I knew they were tight.
Yeah.
But they were factory bolts. So, they're only M10 bolts. Since then we've changed them to 1/2 inch, and I've never had a problem with that again. But that was just the limit of that.
So this is the bolts that hold the hub with the bearing on it to the actual swing arm, trailing, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, the 4 bolts that hold the hub to the trailing arm. Correct.
Oh,
yep.
That's crazy. It just takes that much of a shock when you.
Yeah, when you land, I think, and I had obviously aftermarket trailing arms, aftermarket radius rods. So I think with just and we had our own bearing carriers on there. So I think at that point there wasn't as much flex as the factory stuff because it's stiffer, it's stronger.
Yeah.
And the next weak link.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happens a lot.
And there's a lot of pressure off of that jump on parts, I would assume.
Yes, yeah. You're coming down pretty hard. That's one of the harder landing jumps at Crandon. I mean, outside the razor jump, but that's probably the second hardest maybe.
I would agree too. Not only that, but you're trying to set up for that corner. So not only is it hard, you're landing at a unique angle sometimes.
Yes. Yeah, it's easy to do that. It's not right to do that because you're trashing the equipment sometimes if you do too much, but you try to get it just a little bit to try to get that extra little edge of speed.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. I was going to say a lot of people, from being a spectator for a lot of classes there, you see a lot of people trying to set that up on the jump and seen some pretty gnarly stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of jumps, we were both at the meeting for the Moore meeting, and Bark River announced that they're going to bring back the long jump competition this year.
Okay.
So
that's cool.
I don't know if it's going to involve UTVs, not UTVs, just trucks, but just kind of thoughts. Are you going to participate in that?
I mean, I think that's a Pro 4 thing. I mean, the Pro 4s have the suspension to do it. They have the power to do it.
Well, Pro Mod is just a mini Pro 4, isn't it?
Yeah, they are, but they don't quite fly as far, and they're not quite as, I guess not quite as big as shocks and stuff. But we'll see. I don't know. I don't think any tracks we really go. If the Pro 4s are jumping 200 feet, we might go 150 or 160, but I don't think we're in that ballpark. I mean, it's still far for a UTV for sure. But.
Yeah. I don't know if they're going to do separate classes or not, but that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. We'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah. And I know, looking at Crandon's world record jump, that's going to be super hard to beat just because the track has changed, soil and approach and jumps and everything.
Yep.
And also the trucks. I mean, the trucks used to be just like drag trucks, basically.
Right.
With big tires on the rear.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know if that one will ever get beat, but it'll be cool to see people actually preparing for the long jump.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Crandon will follow suit then if Bark River does.
Yeah.
Maybe have a little competition every track turn into.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting what vehicles come out of the woodwork for the long jump. I bet you there's going to be stuff coming from the West Coast that you're not even going to think about.
Yeah.
So are they doing? I guess I missed that part. Are they doing a long jump, just specifically a long jump?
Yeah. So they're
1 lap and go.
So their event is going to be 4 days. So they're going to do it on Thursday or Friday. It sounds like.
Okay.
And it's going to be. I think it's just going to be off Taco Bell.
Okay. That makes sense.
You got the approach set up, and I don't know if they changed the approach because, you got to deal with that swamp area.
Yeah. I mean, geez, the Pro 4s are already jumping to the bottom of that landing area during a race already. So it'd be interesting to see what the long jump really involves.
They're not going to have a lot of landing room because there's a right-hander right
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've on the sim, I went on Park River and started at the billboards, so like the old land run style, and snuck between the opening and hit Taco Bell backwards, and you can almost land in the grass. So I don't know. Hopefully they don't do that.
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, we'll see how they do it. I just
Make
think
a lot of junk that day, I think, if they were doing it backwards.
I think people would need some new backs too.
Yeah. It's harder than, I mean, for the people that race, obviously they get it, but man, some of those long jumps are harder landing than you think. You're looking at it in the car, you're like, from the stands, no big deal. But man, riding along in the car sometimes it's a harsh landing.
Yeah, I think when I think of harsh landings, I think of Henderson at Anago, where he
Tripled?
He tripled, or
This year at Anago,
I think it was this year, or was it last year?
No, it was this year.
Anago,
Anago,
where he jumped next to Jimmy or Johnny.
Yeah.
And out jumped him. Yeah. But Henderson's truck works really good. It landed. He said he didn't bother him at all.
Yeah.
Doing that.
It looked gnarly.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other one makes me think of Wheatland and Bing in the super stock truck or stock truck.
Oh yeah.
And he did the big tabletop in the back.
Yeah. That was yeah.
Yeah, that was something. Okay, second question. What's the toughest track to drive? And you can think of
maybe. I mean, Wheatland's good. Maybe it's a little tough. I'm trying to think. ERX is a little technical. Technical rhythm sections. I'm trying to think of the track that really punishes you for over driving it. Anago has the spots that do. I would say it's got to be Wheatland or Anago, one of those two tracks.
Yeah,
that punish you for over driving stuff.
Did you race Redbud when they did that pop-up track?
Yep. I did. That was my second race ever in a UTV.
Yeah.
In Sportsman, and I finished second in that race.
Okay. Yeah, we might have raced against each other that day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yep. That was the. You got fourth? Okay.
Yeah, on one of the days. I don't know about the other day.
I don't remember what I did the other day. I don't remember. I know I got second one of the days I got on the podium, but I was so close to first on that one. But that one I over jumped the downhill.
Oh yeah.
And blew through the shocks and hurt my tailbone pretty good on that one.
Yeah.
That was a gnarly track.
Mine, I got most of my positions on the first lap. I sent it off that jump, and I had a Polaris at the time.
Okay.
I had a Polaris the whole time, and it just lofted nice off that jump. But then I got to that corner, and I had way too much speed and just put it up on two wheels and had to throw all my positions away just to set it back down.
Yeah, that's tough. That track, I remember that track had a lot of people on the bike.
It was so rutted out because there was no, it wasn't packed.
Right.
And then that step-up jump was, you had to have the speed out of that corner.
Every little bit you could have, and you're still just kind of casing the top a little bit, For our class anyways,
Oh, yeah, it certainly was. Yeah. Awesome.
Crazy. So I know the track gets busy for you, but as a fan of off-road racing, what's one class you try to go up into the grandstands to watch?
I mean, I don't know. Pro 4 is probably my favorite class. I like the UTVs just because I have so much personal stuff out there, or company stuff out there. Yeah. All the UTV classes. I try to get up, super stock truck. That's a interesting. It's always awesome watching that class. Yeah. Pro buggy. It's so hard because if I'm not at the track, I'm usually in front of a computer screen there. I mean, it's just in a lot of times like the Crandon, the race weekends where we have 3 races for the Pro 4s and Pro 2s, it's really busy for me. So it's hard to get up to the track a lot.
Yeah. I often see you carrying your laptop between pits.
Yeah, running.
And you're doing the jogger walk.
Yes,
keep
just trying to get
up.
as fast as I can get it because, to try to get to, the root of what these, if the teams are coming off the track, I try to get quick overview of what happened so I can let them know if they need to fix anything major, so they have the most time to fix it before the next event, whether it be practice qualifying or sometimes qualifying to race happens in the same day. So
Yeah, you might possibly be the most busy person at the track.
it's definitely wearing. At the end of the weekend, I'm like, man, I just need to chill out. And I usually go to work every Monday after the race weekends, and that Monday is really killer.
Yeah,
getting back to work. So yeah,
that one's an extra Mountain Dew day.
Yeah, or 5.
Yeah. Who's a legend of the sport that doesn't always get the recognition?
Man, Rob Mack forever. I don't know if he, it's been a while since I've heard his name mentioned a lot. I think he did a lot to help the sport. He's obviously a phenomenal driver, kind of historically, but yeah, I would say maybe him and probably someone that's not currently in the sport because you don't hear about him as much anymore. I mean, Carl Rennezener was another one. Yeah.
He's done a lot. He did double duty when he was racing.
Yeah.
And then everything he's done for outside of the actual track stuff.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. I think those are good choices.
Yeah, definitely. So, like 10 years from now, if you look back, what do you want to say you accomplished in off-road racing?
I would like to, with where we're at, we're looking, what we're doing at the shop. I mean, I want to be innovative. I want to come up with solutions to problems, that make sense, and to innovate the sport, to make it more modern, to make it on par with some of the other racing series out there.
Yeah.
So some of the stuff we've done, I think, is pretty innovative for the sport of off-road, and we want to keep pushing that envelope and pushing that edge, and never give up on that.
Yeah. Who is the highest skilled competitor that you've ever raced against, in your opinion?
Ever raced against? I mean, look at pro side-by-side class. It's stacked. You got Owen coming off a championship win. I don't know. He might have been, arguably the best driver this year in that class.
Oh, yeah. I think so. Two championships in 1 year, and he got a ring as well, or both rings?
Yeah, both rings.
Yeah, and he got, at the award banquet, he got a few other awards as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he might be the one that had to speak the most up in the podium.
Yeah. Definitely this year he knocked it out of the park, but, Kyle Cheney's been up there too. I know this last year he's been trying out the new Mavar and teething that in, but he's a damn skilled driver. CJ's always there. He's, one of the legends of the sport, so.
Yeah,
for sure.
All very skilled.
And they're all I got to race against them,
Yeah, it's a pretty stacked class, I would say.
Yeah.
Did you do King of Hammer stuff yourself, or?
Just with Johnny and CJ.
Okay.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, 'cause some of those guys are spread out between multiple disciplines. It's really cool to see the differences.
I mean, we are helping Kyle this year. I'm sure this episode will air after King of Hammers, but yeah, we're helping Kyle and King of Hammers this year with some drivetrain parts. So,
oh, really?
Hopefully, keeping true with our innovative approach to off-road racing.
Yeah, because I think last year, if I recall, he had like axle issues or something like that.
Yeah,
I mean, he still won, but
yeah. He the UTV class, I think an axle issue took him out of the UTV class, and then he won the overall in the 4400.
Yeah, the overall. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Any insight to that, or something after?
Well, I mean, when it comes out, I hope. I mean, I don't know. The problem is they need to do some heavy duty testing on it before we race it, and if everything goes good at the testing, it's going to go into race mode. But hopefully, the biggest problem with those, I think the biggest problem with a lot of those cars is front diff breakage. In a lot of those cars, I mean, we fought it with the Yamaha when I helped with them. We fought it with the Polaris a little bit, and I know Can-Am has always fought it, even with their X3s. So front diff axles, it's hard on it. So we're trying to make a piece that'll soften that up a little bit and help him go faster
and keep it together
and hold it together. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, Innovation's always needed.
Be awesome to see and watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, absolutely. Hopefully we'll get some feedback on that very soon so we know
Yeah.
know what to do for piece number 2, I should say.
Yeah. Prototype
Prototype 2,
two,
yeah. Yep. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, because King of Hammers, as we speak now, is 2 weeks away.
Yeah, I think the UTV race is February 5th. Yeah, probably was that 2 weeks away about.
Yeah. I think so, and I think some guys are out there.
Yeah, they're starting all their
Yeah,
testing, trail riding and everything like
people
that.
are starting to show up for it. Yep.
Yeah. It seems like you have to bring like 3 carts to that race.
Yeah.
One to test, because after that it's going to be pretty well beaten up.
Yes.
And another one to race and another spare.
Yeah, and that one, when you race it, if you finish, it's going to be beat up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That race is brutal.
Yeah, it is.
That's on the bucket list for going and watching.
Yeah.
I don't know about racing. Let me watch it first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So back when you started racing, like in the rookie days, what was some of the goals you set for yourself?
So when I started, I just drag raced. I never actually competitively raced wheel to wheel with anybody until right before Red Bud. Was it Bark River right before Red Bud that year?
That was the year that they brought the UTVs and we started ERX, and then I think Bark River was next, and then it was Red Bud.
So Bark River was my first competitive race, I believe.
Okay.
In my life, wheel to wheel like that, and it was one of those things where I was doing the data stuff for Johnny, and he says, "You should try out a race car."
Yeah.
I mean, Johnny said that to how many people?
Yeah. Here, try this drug.
So yeah, he set me up in his UTV, and I raced at Bark River and did okay that first race, and then went to Red Bud and got a second place.
Yeah.
There, and then after that, I think I built my own car after that. I think I built my own car after that, and just kind of started racing it from there.
Yeah.
So with like the thought of building your own car and going forward, do you kind of use that as a platform to test things now, or how does that work for you?
That was the main goal. I mean, building my own car and being able to test it, I feel helped us make us better innovators, because then I could fully understand what the racers went through. Even if I'm not competitive with the top 3 or whatever, I'm still understanding what the cars are going through, what the racers are going through, and it helps us develop stuff to fix that and test stuff to make sure we fixed it.
Yeah.
The issues we see. That's a lot of the to win a championship, and Owen's a real good example of that this year. I mean, I don't know if he had more than one. Did he have more than one DNF?
I think it was. I was just talking with Rod. I know ERX he had a DNF, but I can't recall what it even was. But I don't recall if there was a second one.
I thought no, Wheatland. Yeah, Wheatland he had a DNF with a wheel bearing.
Okay.
I didn't think it was ERX. Maybe Lena.
Maybe Lena it was.
Lena, I think he landed sideways off that jump and broke something in the drivetrain. Did exactly what I did this year too. But I think that's a good testament. I mean, other than those 2 incidents, he's got that thing across the finish line all year long, and that's really, at the end of the day, what won him the championship.
Yeah.
Is getting that thing consistently across the finish line.
So, like, then for example, like if you're thinking about trying something on another car, do you throw it on yours first to test it first? Or?
Sure. Yep. Sometimes we do. The real good example of that is actually on the steering wheel. I can show you that.
All right.
I'm testing something on that before we try it out in the wild, with the off-road stuff. So just to make sure it's going to be durable enough to sell as a product.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, absolutely. We do that all the time. If we need to make a change, need to make a test. Sometimes we don't have the time to do that. A real good example this year was we've been fighting wheel bearing issues really since the Yamaha was born, especially at Bark River. Yeah. A lot of cars fight that at Bark River because it has long sweeping corners, but this year was especially bad. We just always thought it was the axle relaxing and losing tension on the wheel bearing over a race. And what we finally figured out was the actual hub was crushing actually during the race and deforming a little bit, and it was losing torque on the axle nut.
Oh, wow.
This year, the hub we were using, they had a batch that were softer than they normally were, so they were crushing more, and we didn't figure it out until Bark River, and it was like, I mean, Rod and Owen to get those cars across the finish line at Bark River was somewhat of a miracle because both those right rear tires were ready to fall off. I mean, they had like 2 inches of play back and forth, and they were brand new wheel bearings and brand new hubs and brand new everything right before that race.
Yeah.
So we went back to the drawing board, immediately after that, and we had to have a solution for Crandon, because Crandon can be a little bit the same way, high speed, landing on the right rear again. And, the solution we came up with not only fixed the problem that we were having at Bark River, but really cured it from the beginning of those hubs. And we've never had an axle nut loosened up since then, the rest of the year.
That's amazing.
So it was really good to see that. It was,
And to find that's like, to come across that it's actually crushing it.
yeah, so that was one of those products that we tested on my car initially, but it was like we rushed. I think it was like 3 days to prototype.
Yeah.
And we were in Crandon testing it on my car. And then we said, that's holding up on my car. And then, I wanted to vet as much time on it as I could before giving it to Rod and Owen, because Owen was in contention for the championship at that point. And, we said we feel good about it, and we tried it, and it worked out. So, yeah, we didn't have a lot of time to race on it. Had it been the way it should have gone, I probably would have done one race on it, make sure that it was okay, and then given it to Owen. But we didn't have that time, that
That's
luxury.
cool, though, that you got the platform to test stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And we have extra, we try to keep extra data on my car just to learn what's going on more with the cars, with the engines, with the transmissions and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Temperature wise and that kind of thing. So,
Yeah. So, kind of, we were talking about Wheatland and some new tracks that kind of got added to the season this last season, and we have a repeat this season. Mm-hmm. What's just your all-around feeling about the Wheatland track?
I like Wheatland. Yeah. I mean, the couple guys had some pretty big wrecks off the flyway jump, but I think that happens every year. You just gotta maybe not go as far out as, you say that, and then if you're in the heat of the battle with someone, you do, but just try to take it a little easy off that jump so you don't end up like that. But yeah, that's Wheatland. I like to drive. That was about the only jump I think that got anybody. So
yeah, and of course it's a new track pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Even if you raced on it many years in the past, I think all that data in your head about how fast to go has already been kind of brushed away. So It's pretty much a new track to everybody, and well, that's the learning curve right there.
Yeah, we were trying to test there, before, and we kept having weather, and so we never got to test. So literally, the first test was practice.
Yeah.
Before the race weekend. So
Yeah, that was for a lot of people. I think at least one person found out the hard way not to go fast off of that.
2 people.
2 people, yeah. Yeah.
So what about Glen Helen then? Did you get a chance to go out there? Or?
I didn't race that this year. I mean, the deal I had, obviously it costs a lot of money to go out west. I wanted to go out west, but I couldn't justify it, unless I was contending for some sort of points position or something. I wasn't going to, that was the plan right from the start.
Yeah.
I would love to go out there and do it, but it's got to make sense. I can't just throw away $10,000 or, something, whatever it takes to get out there and race that. And yeah.
So kind of a question for this coming season. What's your plans for this coming season?
Full season. Glen Helen will play it by year. It's the last race of the year, so same thing.
Same kind of thought. You got to be within a points contention.
Yeah. For some reason within points contention, but plan is to run a full season right now.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
If you could make your fantasy track schedule, what would you add a track, subtract a track? What would you do to?
That the 2-week turnaround thing is tough. It's really tough. It's tough when you run a business too on top of that, because it takes so much time to prep these cars, especially at the level they need to be if you're going to compete in that class to finish those races, to find the stuff. Just I don't mind the schedule. Maybe just spread it out a little bit more.
Yeah.
I like all the tracks. Lena's not bad for UTV. I think it's a little small for Pro 4, but Anago same way. Anago's, it's a dirt oval track, so I don't know if we had to drop a track, I'd say that one.
Yeah. Is there any tracks that or arenas or round tracks that you would think would be a good match?
I don't know if we need to add anything more.
Okay.
We got what, 8 weekends now a year?
Yeah.
Is it 8? Yeah. So I think we're good there.
Okay.
That's a lot, from the development side and pushing, all the year long. So yeah.
We've had some older generation racers on, and they talk about how it was every other weekend and sometimes even weekend after weekend, and it was like 13 rounds.
Yeah, I think back then, I guess the argument can go both ways.
Yeah.
Back then they didn't make the power we do now.
Yeah.
But we do have better components than they did back then. So I don't know which,
Yeah.
if it was easier back then to maintain the stuff. Back then in the early 90s, they were still using stock rear end housings in those trucks.
Yeah, so you just go to the junkyard
Go to the junkyard and get another one.
or Summit magazine or whatever your choice is. Yeah.
And the engines weren't producing near the power. They didn't require the cooling they do now. All the stuff.
They
that
weren't
goes with
jumping
it.
200 feet,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
having to work on shocks or whatever else in between.
There's probably more careered race teams back then as well. I kind of think.
Yeah. There was Chevy, Ford, and
Nissan.
Nissan. Was Dodge involved back then? I don't remember if Dodge was involved, but
Dodge was involved, and they had a really weird history on how they had to do their spec engine and stuff like that. But yeah,
so you had factory support, I guess, is what it. So that was a little easier probably back then than it is now.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys that are racing now are working a full-time job and then racing, so that's tough. It's tough to take off work, not only for the racing, but then also to find the time to go through the car and go through it at a level where you're not going to DNF the next race.
Yeah, especially the weekend after the race, and
Yeah.
go to work, then you stay up till midnight, 1 o'clock.
Yep.
Go to work, midnight, 1 o'clock. Those 5-hour sleeping stints wear on you.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Speaking of that, so off the prep between races, things like that, what do you think creates a successful program as far as off-track prep and all that?
It depends on what you're racing. The further up the ladder you go, say Pro 4, when that truck comes back, I've seen it with a number of teams, the good teams that are finishing their races and winning, are taking that truck completely apart, looking at the rear diff, looking at the front diff, looking at the transmission. We usually keep real good track of the engine data, so we kind of know if there's going to be any problems with that. But, all the drivetrain stuff, looking over the chassis, making sure it's not broken or cracked or whatever, all has to get in between every round, get looked at.
Yeah. So we spoke about you being part of the Van Eppen program this year.
Yeah.
What is it that the biggest thing that they do that you think other teams probably don't do that result in, mechanical failures or poor finishes?
I feel like Rod especially just has that never give up attitude, and I feel like I'd like to think I have that attitude too. Feel like we made a good team this year, and basically it was in the off season, him and I talked and said, let's make a run at this championship, but we want to make a serious run, and whatever it takes, whatever, the off season. It started with the off season development, really, and whatever. I would try something. Rod be like, let's try it. And he'd be up there bugging me, and I'd have an idea. Let's try it. And it was just nonstop. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's try these different things. We redesigned the intercooler a little bit this year to try to get better airflow to it. Redid the fan on it, redid the shrouding on it. All those little things, and they just added up. It wasn't any one thing that was like, holy cow, it's good. It's all these little things added up to be a more solid car.
Yeah.
We did our own long travel, I guess, for 2 years now, but we wanted to make sure that thing was as beefy as it could be and could take hits off of jumps and hits from other cars and not break. And I think that went a long way to make that. And Rod, was all about it. I mean, he was right there. Let's do this, and he was willing to help wherever he could, and he just never stops at that. And that's what it takes to. Obviously, the results showed this year.
Yeah.
That's what it took to get the championship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So always pushing to be innovative and finding that
edge.
every quarter of an inch.
Yep. Yep. I mean, when you're looking for tenths of a second, you're just trying to find that edge and find, make the thing more consistent, make the thing easier to drive, make the thing tougher.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah. Pennies equals dimes. Dimes
Yep.
equals quarters. And whatever that saying is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, eventually. I mean, it honestly, it couldn't have worked out better this year. Owen going double championship, but it comes from Rod and the never give up attitude, and then just do whatever it takes. Do whatever it takes to get that car to the best it can be to the track and to get it across the finish line.
Yeah.
Yeah. In so many races, it's so dialed in. Like, he could fall like mid pack because something happened, and just picking everybody off from mid pack.
Yeah.
Like, no matter if it was inside, outside, no matter where it was, that thing was fast all year.
And Owen drove, I think the biggest difference too was last year, this year, Owen's driving just went another level. And you could see that. I mean, him charging the corners like he did, I just, just in awe. And then to know how fast to charge a corner and how much speed to carry through the corner, he was like, it was dialed.
Yeah.
It came out, there's a perfect clip of it at Crandon. The track was wet, and I don't remember. I think it was Pro Stock maybe. The track was pretty watered, and in first lap, Owen drove it into gravel pit in third place, really deep. And I don't know how he knew that the car would hold what it was going to hold, but it held it, and he split CJ and Jeb for the lead. At that, I was like, wow, that was a veteran move right there to make that happen.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just a testament to all the work that was put in the offseason and forward, like, to be able to trust the car then.
Yeah.
To be able to hold that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one with that car, and I mean that was a big thing of why he was successful. Yeah. And we tried to just extract the most out of everything. It's kind of funny. We went and developed in the off season, and we didn't make any more power with the car. We actually made a little less, but what we did was slightly widen the power band to give us more usable power.
Some more application.
So I think, and that seemed to make the car just a little bit, have that little edge. I don't know that it made it much faster, but it seemed to give it just a little edge. So you had, if you was not, the big thing with the CVTs, you whack the throttle, it's at the right RPM if your clutching's right. And the Yamahas don't have that favorability to it, so we had to make the power band wider so it was better power throughout the sweep of the power, or sweep of the RPM. So
that probably goes back to your drag racing knowledge, that it's not always about the highest peak, it's about making that curve apply.
Yeah, and we thought we had it. We thought we had the airbox. I mean, that's really came from the airbox development, and we thought we had it dialed. And we've tested over the years, trying to make something better, and we never found anything really better. And then we kind of took a fresh look at it and said, well, maybe we're looking at it a little bit wrong, and maybe we don't have to worry about that peak number and just look at area under the curve, and that's kind of where we looked at in the off season. I think it was a better move. I mean, the championship says it was, but yeah.
Both championships.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, some people get around the track by hitting other cars and things like that, but just kind of want to get your thought on who you think recently you would consider like some of the most aggressive drivers in the series, or driver.
Man, I saw this year the guy we without throwing him under the bus, but that Colton Krajcek, I thought he was pretty aggressive this year in both classes. I know I got overturned by him, and I thought he was aggressive before I got overturned by him at Lena, but I got blasted by him and flipped at Lena. But he's done that to more than a few people this year.
Yeah. So he's ranking high on that aggressive
He's ranking high on that list right now. I mean, I think he just needs to, he did okay. He just needs to just chill out a little bit and not to be so aggressive with it. Yeah.
Yeah, the mod class has to be. It seems like you guys are just as fast as Pro 4s and sometimes faster.
Yeah.
So that's like it requires a pretty big skill set to contain that.
Yeah, you're charging stuff fast, and I mean you got to know that things happen fast.
It can get slippery fast too.
Yep.
Yeah. So, what is your thoughts on the continuing evolution of trucks and UTVs to be in this sport?
I don't know. The trucks, I feel like we make incremental gains every year. The big gains, I feel, were made in UTVs already. And I feel like now it's becoming more like trucks where it's just going to be incremental every year, little stuff to make them handle better, to make them a little quicker, respond better or whatever. But same thing with trucks. I mean, every year I feel like we just get a little bit better, either get a little bit more traction or get them to turn the corner better or something like that. But I feel like, we'll just keep picking away at that and just keep trying to push the envelope with, shocks and suspension tuning and stuff like that.
Yeah. In the UTV world, does it seem like the manufacturer kind of makes like the lead way, gives you kind of a newer product to work with, and then that makes more innovation, or is it
for sure? Yeah, I mean, when you look at where Polaris was in say 2016, 2017, when the UTV racing started, you look at that Polaris model versus the Polaris model we have today, and it's like you didn't even think they rolled out of the same factory.
Yeah,
they're so different, and the today's models are so much beefier, so much better, more reliable, everything. Yeah, for sure. The manufacturer, even the Maverick R to the X3, same deal. The Maverick R is just that another step forward, a bigger platform, better. Yeah. I don't know if it's better for short course, but better overall, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a 2016. So even 2020, when I last raced, it was like, if I want to keep on doing this, I got to get a new machine.
Yeah.
It's just clutch sizes, gear ratios.
Yep.
And then the diff that we were talking about earlier, how much that's developed. I mean, I've got a tote full of broken diffs.
Yes.
And I think I got one that, I finally found all the tricks to make it last the longest, but it still does not last long enough.
That's the problem. Yeah. I mean, they were built as toys, and we're out racing them like they're full built race cars. And that's why you see all the modifications that have to be done to the pro side-by-side class, from suspension to wheel bearings to the housings for them and all that stuff to make them hold up.
Yeah.
Even clutches. I mean, most of the guys, I know when I ran my Polaris, I had a billet clutch, primary and clutch in there just to make it hold up longer. Belt life was better, all that stuff. So, yeah.
And then, I mean, looking back to when I guess technically UTVs kind of started, was that Weller RS1? What they called it, RS1?
Yeah, I don't know much about that class. I remember Weller's coming out here, I think in
They came 2017 with the Yamahas. I know that. Yeah.
Did they come? Yeah, they did come 2017 with the Yamahas. Yep.
Because that was when I went.
Bark River.
That was when I went, geez, last year I should have bought that Yamaha.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Corey Weller came out in 2017. I think that was our first opening, or to racing in the Torque Series at UTVs. Then,
Yeah, and out west they raced that. I think it's
SR1, I think, or what?
SR1, yeah, not RS1, SR1, and that's I think a Kawasaki based unit, but I don't recall.
It's a motorcycle engine of some sort. I don't know if it might have been Yamaha.
Oh yeah, okay.
R1 engine maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess I'm not sure on that. I don't know much about those cars at all.
Yeah, but I guess that's kind of where UTV-ish kind of started.
Yeah.
Propaganding from it, and obviously we've had brands, Polaris, Yamaha, make it possible, but they were intended for probably trails, not.
Yeah, for sure, not for what we're doing. To take a stock machine and throw it, off of 150-foot jump would be just crazy.
Yeah.
Obviously suspension's not built for that and all that. Yeah.
It's kind of cool to see Polaris has actually adapted that mindset, and now they build their Polaris spec race one, but I don't know if it's unattainable to get even as a regular person, but they actually make one that they can factory push out.
I think there might be a waiting list. I mean, I don't keep up too much on it, but I think there might be a waiting list on it. But I think you can, if you have the money, I think you can buy one of those.
Yeah.
For racing. I mean, it's geared toward desert racing for sure.
Yeah, certainly.
But yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if more manufacturers did that. It would push that, the whole platform, the UTV racing, I think, further ahead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Certainly. The financing of a race car though still has to stay.
Yes.
Stay in there.
Yes.
I was going to say that's been the key to the UTV boom.
Yeah. UTVs, you can go finance it, and essentially put it on the track right away, put a cage on it, put some safety on it. The cost to entry is not a ton in the lower level classes for sure, but so that's the appeal of them. But yeah,
just don't wad it up in the first season, and
yes, they
you're
can
still
get expensive
you're
quick
still
if you
paying
start
on it for the
crashing.
next
Yeah,
5.
crashing them. Yeah,
Yeah.
Pretty soon you got 3 financed UTVs, 2 are sitting in your junkyard.
yeah. Not for me, but yeah. I mean, I know there are people out there that do that for sure.
Yeah, I think we were all thinking of the same person.
Yeah.
But so fuel injection keeps on coming, going in the sport. We talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
On how that was kind of one of the key points that brought you into the sport.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what got me going, and that was just helping out some of the Pro 4 teams initially with fuel injection when it became legal, and we've progressed since then. We moved from the AAM Infinity. AAM's no longer a company that supports any of that stuff anyways, but moved from there to the Motec M1 series ECUs with Champ specific firmware for the Pro 2s and Pro 4s, for the Pro Lite as well, but the Pro Lite is a locked firmware, so you're not allowed to make adjustments to that. That's a crate engine class. So
yeah, they have harnesses and everything that you can essentially build right off of.
Yes,
from my understanding.
Yeah, when you get the with the Motec side of things, when it was Infinity, it was that was a big problem, was they didn't have a harness to support it.
Yeah,
and some of the harnessing that they did offer back then led to some of the problems that we saw. Right off the bat, because they were built for hot rods, and off-road racing is 2 way different disciplines. So the hot rod harness would fail constantly, and you'd have a bunch of problems with that. So you had to basically, if you were going to run an Infinity, you have to take it apart and build a proper motorsport harness, and then it would hold up then.
So just better pins, better sealing on, and
better wire,
back sealing boots and stuff like that.
Better wire, better all of it. Yep,
Yeah.
Better pins, better crimp methods, better everything. Yep.
Yeah, because it's basically being shooken around nonstop and then thrown in the mud.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing that people don't realize is you get dirt off the track, and if it gets inside some of these hot rod harnesses, even like I saw it anyways with my Polaris. Dirt would get inside the harness and it would chafe the wires. So you could only get so much time out of those harnesses before something would fail.
Yeah.
Just from the constant dirt and sand and stuff inside the harnesses. But that's really what took the AEM and made it at least successful for its platform. But the Motec is a better ECU, more durable, more rugged, more geared towards motorsport, towards what we're doing. So, good thing we're running that. And in the Pro Spec class, they actually run a factory GM ECU and a spec harness with that. So.
Yeah, you just have to build the body harness off.
Yeah, all the classes, you'll have to build the body harness off to run your fans and run your fuel pumps and stuff like that. Yeah. It doesn't matter what you have unless it's a UTV, then you have to use a factory harness with that.
Yeah, with that chafing, I do the mod cart harnesses, and I used a couple stock harnesses to try to get connectors and stuff that were on titanium.
Mm-hmm.
And you just, all of a sudden, you pull back the sheathing, and you look at the wire, and they're all cracked. I'm like, how was this even running?
Yeah.
Like, half of these wires have copper exposed.
Right. Yeah.
And this was on a 4-wheeler.
Yeah.
Like, how did a splash of water not go? Bzz?
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. You get corrosion, water, anything that changes the continuity of the wire, and it might be end of day, and it might be sitting on the side of the track. So that the wiring is very important, and we do that, obviously, at our shop.
Yeah.
We built a lot of Pro 4 harnesses, probably for most of the field, actually.
Yeah, Alex over there does the wiring
Yep.
guy, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I've had a lot of good conversations with him.
Yep.
He's very knowledgeable about the.
He's phenomenal at doing that, and he has the patience to do it. It takes a special person to be able to put that stuff together and have the patience to do it, because it is time consuming and tedious work.
Yeah, it's a bunch of work to even just lay out the roadmap before you even lay down one single wire or one single connector.
We got a pretty good system now. Me and him work back and forth pretty good. He knows exactly where to put all the stuff now, and we don't. It's pretty cool because we don't even have to hardly talk, and all of a sudden we got a wiring harness in a truck, and I just got to program it. So
awesome.
We just finished one up today, actually.
Yeah.
For Johnny Holter, his new Pro 2.
Oh yeah. So. That's a pretty quick turnaround. I was there when it got dropped off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we get after it and get it done, and I mean, it was on the dyno today. I mean, we might do a couple more things tomorrow, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's done. It's just got to get its final, checks and stuff before it goes back to him. But yeah, it's pretty much ready to go.
Awesome. I'm sure he's going to be excited about that, because it's been always an exciting moment for him, and hopefully he gets some good testing out west then.
Yeah, that's his plan. I think he's going to go out west and test, but the evolution is cool, because when we first started building harnesses to today's harnesses is everyone, you learn something when you see them, and you learn how to do something a little bit better, a little bit neater, a little bit more that makes sense, lays out in the truck better, whatever makes it easier to work on. It's the latest harnesses we've been doing have been pretty good.
Yeah,
Alex has been doing a good job on those.
Yeah, I feel like when you guys keep on chasing evolution, there's always going to be the next one's going to be the next revision. And it's always going to be better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And I feel like if you don't learn from your last one, you're always learning something. I don't care how many times you've done it. If you've done 100 harnesses, or I've mapped it. I don't know how many maps, in my life, and even today, like, you look at little things on Johnny's Pro 2 we were picking at and just changing some stuff, and just trying to make it better, make it cleaner, make it run better, that kind of thing, more robust and less problems in the season. Yeah,
back to that same mantra that we talked about with the Van Eperons. You just stack a bunch of pennies and start making nickels and dimes and quarters and dollars.
Yep.
Awesome.
I feel like that's been the evolution, over the last, I guess since 2016 I started doing that, but just getting the little details out of the way, and I feel like it leads to, most of the drivers that I help now feel like there's not a lot of, hey, my truck doesn't run or doesn't run right. They run pretty good, week in, week out, race in, race out. We don't have any of those problems there. Oh, it's not quite right here, it's not quite right there, something changed here, it's pretty consistent. Yeah. And that's important to a driver, so they know what to expect and know what they're going to get. Yeah. And that enables them to have that thought out of the back of their mind and just focus on driving. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you can know that the car's going to do this lap and lap and lap again, then you can continue to hone your own skills. Yes. And you're not losing out on track time, because there's nothing worse than losing out on track time over a loose ground or a failure in a harness or anything else. Me as a driver, because I've seen so much failure and programmed so much, I know so much behind the scenes stuff, it's really hard sometimes for me to get the focus to go, all right, I just got to drive. I can't think about anything else in the car, because honestly, if I think about anything else, I know that I'm not driving at my what I could be driving at if I'm not focused purely on driving, if I can't just block everything else out. Yeah. And that's hard to do sometimes, because I know all the inner workings of, from the transmission and the engine to the programming to everything, and I just got to trust it and just go. I've heard, I don't want to put a name to it because I don't think I know for sure the name, but I've heard that to grow like a proper race car driver, you have to not let them be a mechanic-minded person, because once they start understanding how that stuff works, like you're just saying, suddenly you go, oh geez, if I'm jamming on these brakes and gas trying to get this traction, man, I'm gonna break an axle or something like that. But the person that doesn't have that mechanic mindset just goes, that makes it go faster, I'm gonna keep on doing it. Yep. That can be good and bad, because sometimes, if you get equipment that can't handle that, I mean, it's still important that you got to get that car across the finish line. I think Kyle Cheney is probably one of the better ones at understanding that. Like he's not a mechanic. He can do some mechanical stuff, but that's not he's a driver, and he's probably one of the better drivers I've seen understand that, hey, if I drive this thing to its max, I'm not going to finish the race. And he knows when to pull back just a little bit to finish that race.
Really good example of that is last year's Kings of Hammer.
Yeah.
There was 2 cars that were supposedly twin builds.
Yep.
And one had the frame and the front end bust off, and he was not one of them.
That was one of the Miller brothers, I think, that broke that.
I think so.
Yeah.
Amazing how they kept that together, too.
Yeah.
They took the winch and,
Yeah.
wrapped it around somehow. But, hey, when you're stuck
That's being innovative, yeah.
Once you're stuck out in the middle of nowhere.
You do what you have to do to not get flown out of there with a helicopter attached to your car.
Or a 10-mile walk back.
Yeah. Either way, yeah.
Yeah.
So over the, I would say past 5 years, we've seen technology probably take a big step forward. Like, if you are thinking in the future, where do you think technology is going to take us next in the way of, off-road racing?
The past 5 years, one of the big things that they released for off-road racing, specifically for Pro 4, is a paddle shift. And I was fortunate enough to be at the forefront of the development of that. And it's huge because one of the biggest costs in Pro 4 outside the engines is the transmissions. I mean, these transmissions are, can be $40,000, $50,000 a transmission, and most of the teams carry a spare. And by using paddle shift, we can more accurately guide the gear change, and that makes the dog life so much greater in the transmissions. You don't have the dog-to-dog clash that rounds them off or gear breakage sometimes. That's been one of the huge things over the last 5 years, I would say, that has really evolutionized. It allows the driver, I think, to focus a little bit more on driving and less on gear changes and not allow them to break transmissions, which could cost them a bunch of money to do that. That's just been, I hope we see more of that. A lot of the road race cars, they have all that cool stuff with the paddle shift, and maybe not F1's not the right example because that's really, really advanced, but some of the more advanced sports car racing has a lot of cool features. With that, with going with the technology and the fuel injection, making it smoother, making it easier to drive, make it easier to come out of the corner, all that stuff.
So with the paddle shift, it's the electronic connection is basically sending for a solenoid to actuate the gear change and clutching, or are these all like clutchless trans?
No, I don't. There's still clutches in the transmissions, just your typical pedal clutch. When you go to make the gear change, it first started out that when you made a gear change in a Pro 4, you'd have to lift on the throttle to lift the torque off the engine, and then you could change a gear with the stick. And then we got to shift interrupt, which when you pulled on the shifter, there's a load cell inside the shifter that would tell the computer that you're ready to shift. So it would basically shut off the engine for a few microseconds while you make the shift and then refire it back up. Most all the drivers are using that, at least that now. And that's helped extend the life of dogs by a lot. But then the next evolution was the paddle shift, because in the manual shift, you still, if the driver didn't pull on the shifter hard enough or too hard, they might not make that time right when the engine's interrupted, and then they can dog-to-dog clash it and break the transmission or break the gear.
Yeah.
The paddle shift basically takes that out of the equation. When it hits the button, it knows it's going to shift, and it either actuates an air solenoid. There's an air compressor on board with an air tank, and it either actuates the air solenoid to actually move what your hand would normally move on the shift lever, or the other type out there is a electronic one, which will rotate the shift drum electronically with an electric motor. So
okay, so like a super strong super strong servo.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's like a RC car.
Yeah, we're getting more towards like RC. I mean, obviously they're not radio controlled, but yeah.
Some of them are.
yeah. So, that technology is cool. It's making these trucks are insanely expensive. And if you can cut some costs somewhere, it goes a long way in helping these teams run these things all year.
And it helps longevity by not clashing the dogs as much.
Yeah.
So when longevity comes up in my mind, and we talk Pro 4, we know that class has a longevity problem.
Yeah, look at how many trucks don't finish. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you see? 8 trucks start the race, 10 trucks start the race, half of them don't finish.
What is like the most common failure that we're seeing?
I think I mean, the most common failures typically come from prep issues, I think.
Okay.
But it's all over the board. I mean, it could be a spark plug wire that fell off, could be a shock, could be a transmission that broke, an input shaft that broke, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
We don't really see, that's the other thing that I feel that's brought in, and I've had a couple conversations with Case Gunderson about this. Years ago, it was like you'd run the engine carbureted, and man, you'd see so many failures. If you ran the thing 3-4 race weekends, by the 4th race weekend, it was likely the engine was going to fail. It's going to have the rods hanging outside the block. Now it's like with the fuel injection stuff and how close we can get these calibrations for the engine, they just seem so much happier that, when we're pulling them apart now, and I'm talking to the engine builders that are doing this stuff, they're like, yeah, the bearings look great, the pistons look great, the rings look great. So I think that's a big thing, and we're cost saving there because now it's just on a maintenance schedule.
Yeah.
Instead of we got a basket of parts and we got to put it all back together and buy everything new again, block and crank and rods. And yeah.
So do you think in speaking Pro 4, just because that's the one that has probably the most obvious issue of the finishing, do you think that innovation has to catch up to maybe the level, the power and everything that we're making?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. But you see the better teams. I mean, look at CJ, he hardly had a DNF in Pro 4 last year, I don't think. I mean, big credit to Devin for keeping after that truck and doing what he needs to do. But a lot of it comes from prep.
Yeah.
Outside of the first couple from Jimmy from the first, I mean, the last half of the season, I think was great for him for reliability and getting to the finish line.
Yeah. I think in my mind, when I look at those two different programs, Henderson's program always seems like it's on the leading edge of the innovation. And I think CJ and Johnny have probably put their program more on what they know works and reliability, and knowing that we might not be on the leading edge with this, but we know that we can essentially finish every single race.
That's a double-edged sword. If you innovate, you always run that risk of, is it going to work every time?
Yeah.
You try to vet it as much as you can in the off season, but sometimes you don't get into the race environment or race conditions until it's really a race, and then you find out where the weak links are. With that. So, I know that happened a little bit to us early on in the beginning of the year with Jimmy. We trying to do some things, and it bit us. It cost us some DNFs. So.
Yeah, but like you said, that's the cost of.
I don't regret it because we learned a ton,
Yeah.
but at the same time, that cost a couple races and probably a run at the points championship.
Yeah.
Because of that, so.
Yeah, it definitely makes it too, like you were saying, when you're not racing it, like you're not getting in the situations where a driver might be more aggressive or do something they normally wouldn't in like a practice round.
Yep.
So you can't always figure that out. That makes sense.
Yeah. So on an innovation aspect, you brought the best wall hanger that we've ever had here for the studio.
Let me see if I can grab this. Well, let me take my headphones off for a second.
I think I've talked about this, or the steering wheel in general, a couple times, but this is something that's like newer. Or?
This is out of my own car.
Okay.
This is a product we build. It really looks cool. It looks fancy, I guess, but realistically, what it's doing, what we aim to do with it is, instead of having all these gauges and all these buttons and everything all over the car, we cleaned it up and we put it all into one precise and compact unit.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff on here, like we took and put the Yamaha typically has your 4-wheel drive switch that's off to the side somewhere off one of the panels. We took that off of there and put it on one of the switches here. And your pumper button, your start button, all that stuff is all built into that. Just cleans up the car, makes the wiring so much simpler sometimes, and it serves a lot of good purposes to make it cleaner, more compact, and just better. It feels good. I like driving with it. It's a little bit heavier, but the grips and everything feel real good.
So it's an all aluminum body?
Yeah, all aluminum body. Yep.
And then this is obviously plastic or?
Yeah, a rubberized grip. Yep. That's that you can wipe off, that can get dirty or whatever.
So it's all mechanical connections on the back. Right?
On the back, this is one of the things that I alluded to earlier that we were testing out. So all the ones except this one that we built have had the big curly cues of wiring coming out of the back corner to like back here to connect to the car, to connect all the buttons. I elected to do it through a steering shaft.
Oh.
So when I unplug the steering wheel, and that's what I'm trying to test. I'm trying to test the durability of that because I'm worried that vibration, dirt, anything getting in there, if it's not sealed perfectly, will cause a failure there. So I'm testing that. I've had, a handful of practices and a race on it. So we'll see how it goes from here out.
That's got to be a really small pin.
Yeah. Yeah. Really small pins. And, but when you take this wheel out of the car, it's, there's no other things in the car that are switches or buttons or anything.
Yeah.
Everything is in that wheel. So
is there any thought of innovation to wireless, or do you think?
I don't think wireless is appropriate for off-road because of the susceptibility interference.
Yeah.
I don't see it yet. I don't know that the technology is there yet for the durability that we require for actually not only off-road, but any form of motorsport.
Yeah, you want that connection. It's kind of,
it's got to be a solid connection.
Yeah.
You can never miss that 1 or a 0, as it's going through the air. So
yeah. I was going to say that would be terrifying. Like, loses connection while you're driving.
Yeah. Well, we have throttle bodies that are control. They're still wires, but they're
still wires.
They still go through modules and stuff. But
they're still they go through modules but they have redundancy and safety checks. But if one of those messes up, an OEM throttle body, they just shut you down.
Yeah.
So
that's really cool. So all aluminum body.
All aluminum body. This is provisions for paddles.
Okay.
My car right now is a manual transmission, but that's provisions for paddles. Jimmy runs one of these steering wheels in his truck, and he has the paddle version with the paddles on there. So that's how he shifts the car, and everything that you normally see on a keypad or from the or an ignition switch, it just compacts it all into the it's all at your fingertips. Like if we get an alarm on the screen, Owen had that happen. I think at one of the races, it was I don't remember what it was, overheating or I don't remember.
Yeah, Rod told me part of this story. And then supposedly, and he kept on clearing it, right?
Yeah, that was a whole rumor started just for that. I'm like, he had an alarm on the screen, and everybody thought that was his nitrous button or something, and he kept hitting. So it's just the rumors and stuff that have been started over that. It's just unbelievable.
So are all your gauges and everything then right in the steering wheel, or do you have other gauges?
Everything is right in the steering wheel. Yep, everything. It will. If there's an alert, that say coolant temp gets hot, it'll come up in red and alert you and point you to that gauge to let you know. Yeah. You can make the decision at that point to clear that alert and keep going or to stop. And everything is logged through the steering wheel too. So everything, all your temps, all your pressures. So if you're wondering why I did something wherever, if we lost fuel pressure, if we lost, what oil pressure, we keep track of all that stuff. So.
Awesome. So is the other knob the service port?
Yep, that's the service port. That's where we can get
pull your data from.
Pull the data from and update anything we need to update in there.
So how do you feel with it being what do you call it? Do you call this a yoke? Do you call it a?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like a yoke steering wheel. I was worried about it. I wasn't sure I was going to like it at first because your hands are planted here. You don't have around something to grab onto. But I mean that went away the first time I drove it. That worry, and it felt just so natural to hold it. And the other thing I like is you can see right over the top. You don't have anything blocking your vision. So we actually took the hood and lowered it a little bit so we could you take advantage of that, not having the steering wheel block there.
Yeah, having more visual
Yep.
over it. Yeah. So UTV and with having a quickener on it, you have enough that you only are going 90-ish, more than 90.
Yeah, pretty much only 90. Once in a while, you'll go upside down, but that's it. That's the steering stop is upside down. You can do that. I mean, I'm doing it right now, right here. And that's totally possible to do in the car. We've done it. We've had it on camera, me doing it, Owen doing it. Rod and Owen obviously ran the same steering wheel.
Yeah.
And it was no big deal to do it. Yeah.
Awesome.
But you don't do it that much.
Do you thumb curl it then? Because I always, you always kind of learn to keep thumb open.
So when I'm driving two hands, I'll have it up here, and if I'm shifting, I'll usually hold it right there.
Okay.
Yep. But just depends on if I'm one hand or two hand on the wheel.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't have enough. If I don't thumb curl it with one hand, it might be a little bit iffy if I'm going to hang on to it.
Yeah.
So over some of the rough stuff, or if you're close in traffic or something.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing when you like think about the wheel feedback and you talk to the truck guys and they're like, it's so easy. There's feedback, but that's like the resistance is so low.
Yes.
And everything. And, I've talked with it on sim guys, and sim guys are always like, oh, you got to have the most Newton meter unit. And I'm like, the trucks you can pretty much just steer nice and easy.
Yeah.
So
It's something you got to feel out. I mean, if you've never driven something that's nice and easy with no feedback, it might take you a little bit to get used to that, but or a little feedback. But yeah, most people, I think they adapt to it real quickly.
So was there any like resistance from the series or tech?
I mean, we're
introducing this.
We're not really doing anything any different than taking the dash and like normally the dash would be mounted up here and you'd have your buttons on the dash.
Yeah.
We just took the dash, put it here, and put our buttons on the steering wheel.
Yeah.
I mean, it functions identical to that. So, yeah. I mean, no, there's never any resistance from it, but I wouldn't have expected there to be just because.
Yeah, I just always, you
you look at it and you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's really no different than having the dash the year before. We had the dash up here, and then that was a big pain in the butt. Always is when you have a normal steering wheel and the dash behind it. It seems like the dash is always getting blocked by a portion of the steering wheel.
Yeah. Where
this, you can absolutely see all the gauges crystal clear. It's all right in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah, now that you think of that, I think of my daily driver, and I always, I guess I don't need the temperature gauge, or I don't need the...
Yeah. There's something blocking something. I mean, on my Polaris, I mounted the dash off to the side, and I could see it, but I always had to take my eyes from looking in front and look over there if I wanted to see something. It wasn't that bad. I mean, we did a pretty good job of it, but...
Yeah, now that you say that, I remember seeing some of the newer built trucks having that dash in like what felt like a cubby hole.
Yep.
On either side.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's probably clearly why they did that.
Yeah. You always seem to cover up the dash with something.
Yeah.
With a normal steering wheel.
Yeah, that's really cool to see. Like, I think the first couple times I saw it, like the innovation of it and the different steering wheel style was like, whoa, it's. Definitely feels very F1.
Yes, yeah. I would say it's when you look at some of the F1, I mean they have some more knobs and switches. I mean we didn't feel we needed to add anything more. We got plenty going on here that
minimalist as possible.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And we made sure to use waterproof switches and high quality buttons and stuff just to make it as rugged as possible too.
Yeah.
So compact, whatever. It all, yeah.
Now you're going to have to laser etch what they are.
So. Yeah. We thought about that. We thought about making labels for it or laser etch it. We don't know yet.
Yeah. Then again, if you're driving and you're looking down, trying to find out where it is,
you're in trouble.
You're already in trouble.
It's funny because, when you look at this, you can't see any of there's no labels on any of the buttons. And honestly, by springtime, I'll forget what the buttons do.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I found that, I mean, not only me, other drivers did forget too. So I actually made one of the screens a picture of the steering wheel with call outs to what the buttons do. Yeah. What button was the pumper, what button was the alarm okay button, what button was the ignition on button, what button was the start button, that kind of thing. So if you forget, you can just page over.
So I'm seeing that there's 4 of them that are bezeled. So
Yes.
they have like a protector.
Yep.
Assuming maybe starter or something like
Yeah,
that.
so I know for sure that these two are the ignition on and start button, and that's just so you don't hit it on accident.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
While you're driving.
Yeah.
So you have to physically push inside that.
Yep.
Yep.
Awesome.
The pumper button I think is unbezeled, and the alarm OK button is unbezeled.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So where did the idea of, creating this all start?
Believe it or not, this came from Trad and Jimmy, because in the very first truck, and this came actually from Kyle LeDuc. Kyle LeDuc had this in his truck before anyone. He was probably the innovator on that. He just bought an off-the-shelf AIM steering wheel and used it in his truck. And Trad, when he built Jimmy's first truck that he built for Jimmy, he had used that same steering wheel as Kyle had. And when I got to go program it, I was like, if you know me on a good level, you'll know that. And I love AIM guys to death, but I don't get along with the AIM software that well.
Yeah.
So I find the Motec software is way more intuitive to me and easier to program and can be way more fluid with it. So, I stumbled my way through the AIM steering wheel, made it all work. Everything was good, but there was some certain things that I felt that weren't up to motorsport standards in the AIM steering wheel. And that led us to pursue this option, to try to build it as a motorsport grade unit, reliability wise and speed wise and everything. So
to be innovative.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
So that's where the idea and the push came from. And honestly, and Jimmy looked at it and he was like, yeah, let's do it. He goes, if that's going to make it better and make it work better and everything. I said, yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes the AIM would, for lack of better terms, choke on the CAN bus data coming through. It just couldn't process it fast enough, and it would miss stuff and that kind of thing. So, and the Motec stuff never does that.
Yeah.
So
this one's out of Jose.
Yes.
Steering wheel. Is there that car you like brought out just at the end of the season?
Just at the end of the season. Yeah, we were building it all season long, and put it back in its little mount here.
Yeah.
We were building it all season long, and what happened was with all the customer stuff and the stuff we had to fix, innovate, whatever throughout the year, every time we get back on that car, it seemed like another project would come through that would be a rush to get done before the next race for someone else. So we never really got a chance to get that car done until later in the year.
Yeah. Is there any innovations to speak of on that aside from this?
Well, I feel like Jose was kind of the next gen, what debuted in Owens Pro Stock this year. That again, that was part of the off-season pursuit. How we built the chassis. If you notice, Jose, the car is smaller. It's built lower, that kind of thing. It was built less UTV-ish. In pursuit of corner speed, basically. And Owen did the same thing. I feel like we hit some of the marks with it, but yeah, that's where that came from.
Yeah. I think I even recall looking it over and shock package was a unique one on it as well.
Yeah, we were fortunate enough to get sponsored by King last year. And it was great. I mean, the shock package was something we were able to spec out from them with what we wanted for wheel travel and lay it all out like how we wanted to, and it turned out really good. Yeah.
I think that's probably the first UTV that's been on Kings.
Yes, I think so, and I think that was part of their appeal. They were like, wait, you're a UTV guy and you want to be on Kings? We don't have any UTV guys that ever want to be on Kings over there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was cool to see that. So
it's always cool to try something different.
Yeah, they work great. I mean, I learned a lot inside shocks this year, and obviously Trad has been a big help with shock valving and getting the shock styled. And I mean, he knows shocks. I mean, I've seen him do some stuff with Pro 4s that just crazy, on stuff he's tried, and watch it work is the main thing. It's like, wow, some of the stuff that he's done is awesome.
Yeah, his years of experience
Yes.
have built that knowledge base.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll ever hit a point where just like the cost point or the entry point of the technology will start impacting the field or the trucks that can get out there? Because just to be competitive, the cost point becomes too much.
Depends on how you look at that. I mean, I think that I almost feel like it's cheaper with the technology because the paddle shift, Jimmy, for the last 2 years now has run paddle shift. Yeah. He's gone all year on the same transmission. All year. I mean, when has a Pro 4 ever done that? Yeah, they inspect it, but they're not finding it. You know, the dogs aren't beat up, the gears aren't cracked. Yeah. How do you go all year? You sure they'll change the gear ratio maybe if they go to a long track versus a short track, but they're switching the same gears back in, you know, after that. You know, we're not throwing out gears. We're not banging the dogs. Yeah. From that standpoint alone, I mean, if you take that technology away, well, now you're beating up gearboxes. I almost feel it's more expensive. And then same thing with engines. You go back to carburetors. Yep, the carburetor's cheaper. The MSD box is cheaper. But in the long run, if the engines are living longer and the service interval is just maintenance instead of, I'm sure we'll still get them that, you know, yard sale the engine and you got to pick up all the pieces. But, you know, that's way cheaper to maintain them than it is to put them all back together from scratch.
Yeah, so it's like reframing the mind to be like, it's actually cheaper because, like you just said, the maintenance, the longevity, and
the technology does add a cost, but I think when you look at the total cost to run a year, the guys that are pursuing the technology, I bet, have had less cost layout over the whole year.
That would make sense.
But it sounds expensive up front. Yeah, the Motec system is expensive up front. You know, the wiring harnesses are expensive for sure. But if you're not wrecking the stuff, I think it pays for itself.
Yeah.
And then once you start stockpiling like 2, 3, 4 seasons, you're starting to really see the cost benefit.
Yes, absolutely.
I think your explanation on that just made me realize what the saying "buy once, cry once" is.
Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's expensive to get going in the stuff. You know, if you're building everything from scratch, if you didn't buy a used truck somewhere that had all the stuff on it, it's expensive to get going in it for sure. But I think in the long run, it pays itself off having it.
Yeah, that's a great mindset to put at it. All right, so they say that the first automotive race happened the time that the second car rolled off the assembly line.
Okay.
And then I'm sure right after that, an engineer was redesigning something, or a technician was adjusting tire pressure, or changing something in the transmission.
Sure.
So
competition.
With that said, what do you think the greatest advancement in off-road is?
From a technology standpoint, or from a
technology standpoint, fabrication standpoint, you know, just in general, what do you think the greatest advancement is?
There's been so many from, you know, if you put a truck that was built in the 90s to a truck built today, it's so different.
Yeah.
So different. There's been so many changes and so many, improvements, enhancements, even from, say, 15 years ago, to today's truck is so different. In the last 5 years, I would say that the best improvement is going to be paddle shift on these trucks. I really do, because, for all, I really think, for a guy that's having trouble shifting. I mean, these things are a handful. When you have a clutch and a shifter, and the stuff's happening that fast, they're a handful to keep on top of, and the paddle shift just takes that one extra thing you have to think about, away. I think that's huge for that. There's less likely a mistake in the corner. There's less likely, a missed shift, less likely an engine over rev. Yeah. That's one of the things that we can also do with the paddle shift is, and I've seen this happen. I've seen it happen with the best of the drivers out there, where you're in, say, third gear, and you think you need second because it's not powerful enough, and you shift to second, and next thing you know, you're at 9,500 RPM and over revving the engine. Well, the paddle shift won't let you do that. Yeah, because it'll just say, nope, you're going to land in an unsafe zone for the engine. We're going to keep the engine together today and not let you shift. So
more cost saving.
More cost savings. Yeah.
Awesome. So, of course, with evolution and advancements, typically what follows right after that is more rules or rule books.
Yeah.
Can you think of a situation that your innovation has landed red ink in the rule book?
Oh, I mean, I've had so many rules written against me. I don't know, over the last, I mean, even when I was racing Yamaha in the early 2020s, it was, what did they ban back then? It was PDMs, Again, I think they're not real expensive. They replace the fuse block.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what they do. Yeah. They reset on themselves. They break the circuit when they're supposed to. They can maybe allow you to the end of the race, but we're banned. Why? Because I feel like it's because I ran one. Wiring harness, the same thing. The Yamaha harnesses are in that sketchy territory where they're not bad, but you better be replacing them often. Probably run them a season or two max, and then throw them out and go put a new one in, because they're not motorsport grade harnesses.
Yeah.
And we're running motorsport grade, racing. So at the pro level.
At the wiring harness level, when I think of the pro specs, the hardest thing on that harness is that everybody's trying to make this thing route somewhere it was never meant to route.
Yep.
So it's like all of a sudden you have a big bird's nest here, or you got a bird's nest over here, or if you try to span it out, you're running wires across tubing for no reason.
We run into that in Yamahas because they put the ECU right on top of the transmission.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole harness goes on top of the transmission. So if you have to service a transmission, you got to pull that all off to the side or move it or something, where the harnesses we made back when we could make harnesses, we put the ECU up next to the MCU up in front of the driver, kind of where the Pro 4s usually end up with the ECUs.
Yeah.
It was so much easier to work on. The harness laid on the floor. We had none of that in our way. The layout of the car was so much cleaner.
Yeah.
But those are two of the rules that were, directly written after what I was doing.
Yeah.
I don't understand why. I don't know what they thought we were gaining advantage of there, but
everybody thinks you can put a magic piece of wire in somewhere and make things go faster.
Yeah.
Yep.
So do you feel like, since we've talked about a lot of the advancement in technology, do you feel any of it has made like racing safer or made the driver safer?
I feel like some of the technology, Maru had that Hans device a few years back that they released. I think they've been discontinued, I've heard, or something.
Yeah, they went out of business, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, because I felt like that device helped me specifically, just with landing off jumps, cushioning the blow to your neck. That was one of the things I felt made off-road more tolerable, probably safer at some level.
Yeah, because that was like I don't want to call it an RC racing shock, but it was similar to
that. Yep.
It had a shock that actually the tethers were too. So
yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that would slow it down before it snapped against the tethers, and I felt like that was a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
Because you G out so hard off some of those jumps sometimes that definitely was a thing. As far as the chassis go, I don't know if much has changed in the last 10 years in chassis.
Yeah.
Maybe some tube thicknesses, but I think if you get a quality chassis builder,
yeah,
you're usually pretty safe.
I think, obviously the welding process is probably top on the list there, with making sure that you're not going to have a junction split off.
Yes. Yep. That and seat technology probably has come a fair bit, containment seats and keeping you in the seat. One of the things with containment seats, though, is, sometimes if you land a little sideways off those jumps, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. The containment seat is really, really nice and rollover, because you're not flopping all the way over and banging your head off the window net sometimes on the ground. But, when you land a little sideways off a jump, man, sometimes you get such a head slapper. That alone will give you a concussion.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so I guess on that subject, I know one thing that's come up quite a bit with some guests is, around the crashes. I know you've been in some hard wrecks and things like that. What is your experience like with this protocols and like the health checks?
I don't think there really is any for our sport. I mean, there really isn't. For me, it's not worth it. In my position, it's more important that, and I've always maintained this ever since I started racing. It's more important that I walk away from a crash than for me to cut every last ounce off my car to maybe cheat the rule book a little bit and have a thinner tube or something, or lack somewhere in the safety department. This year I had that bad roll at ERX, and surprisingly, if I would have felt I got my bell rung, I wouldn't have raced the next day. Yeah. But that actually was probably one of the softer crashes I've ever had. As far as high speed as it was and as violent as it looked, I really didn't feel that bad. I mean, my knee got the brunt of that one, so from coming up and hitting the steering wheel. So
yeah, it's amazing how some crashes that look like, oh, that was nothing, and then you look at the G-forces and how it affected the driver, and then you get wrecks such as yours that was like, oh my God, is he going to get out of there?
Go flipping across the track, and it's kind of a high speed wreck, and that was a deal where I think it was a qualifying lap, and you just try to push every last foot everywhere, just try to get the most time out of it, and I just overjumped that last double just by probably 2 feet, and I mean it's probably a couple mile an hour, and that's all it took. It just bottomed out the car and sent me for a ride. But yeah, that's. You look at that and you're like, wow, that looked pretty spectacular. But actually, the crash at Lena was probably harder the week after when I got helped and just rolled. I mean, that was a simple rollover in the corner, and it didn't even look hard. But it was, I think, more vertical, and it came down right on the top of my head. So
yeah, those top cage hits are.
Yeah.
Not a lot of things are meant to stop you from going that way.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Seatbelts, and that's it.
Yeah. Speaking of, teams taking your input and things like that, when you get a new to you vehicle in the shop, this could even be cars, but what do you typically find is like something that's neglected or needs to be handled before you can even go on with doing the upgrades or doing the tune?
From the racing side of things, it just really depends on the team. If the team's really on top of their maintenance, if it's a true professional race team, usually not a whole lot. They usually come pretty well prepared. They know what to expect. They've been around it a lot. If it's more of an amateur, it's everything from, we don't have enough oil in the engine, we don't have coolant checked, fuel pumps half dead, wiring's coming apart, that kind of thing. So there's not one thing in particular. If we had to go to the other side, the performance car business, what we typically run into is usually the fuel systems. Okay. Like that's pretty much our number one thing. You get a car for the dyno and the fuel system not up to par for what they want to make for power.
Yeah.
So you have to stop.
Under delivering on
the pump or the injectors or both. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's typical. That's the number one thing on street car side of things, I would think.
Yeah.
So when you're working on a car, whether it be off-road or on the street side, if they're in a series, how important is it for you and your company to know the rule book and like stay within the rules, or is that solely something you put on the customer?
I want to know it because if we're developing parts, I want to make sure we're developing the parts within the rules. And I really I think last year was a good testament. We stayed within the rules absolutely with Owen and Rod. That's probably, Pro 4, there's some rules, but it's way more open than the side-by-side classes. And Owen and Rod, we stayed within the rules everywhere. I mean, they've gotten checked more often than, I felt bad for how many times Owen got checked for stuff, and I didn't mind because it showed that we were well within the rules. I think we were one of the only top teams that didn't get caught cheating the last year. So
yeah.
I know some of the players guys got caught cheating, trying to keep up, and I just don't want to compromise that. I want to stay within the rules, and I want to be legit. So I don't want to be. I want to push the innovation side of things, but stay within the rules.
Yeah.
And I think that would probably like reflect good on the business too, where like, you know, guys are seeing that and going, okay, we can go there and stay within the rules.
Yeah. Yep.
So on the rules end, I know that, you know, there's with the new rules that just got released, there's some controversy.
Yeah, I would say I'm not sure what Champ's thinking. I don't know where this rule is coming from. I would have to say they didn't dream it up themselves. I would say they had some help, but you know, they had a couple rules written against the side by sides. You know, one was OEM alternators only, which we supply an alternator for. I mean, if you're going to run aftermarket fan on the Yamaha, you almost need an alternator because the stock stator doesn't keep up. Yeah. So I don't know what their thinking is there. I mean, I saw something mentioned to it about, you know, possibly being used to propel the car forward, which is maybe it's possible. I don't know.
That's some Wright brothers stuff there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, I had made a comment off the cuff last year about, you know, we were constantly getting checked and accused of cheating like every race. That I said, well, what are they going to say? We're cheating with our alternator next? You know, we're making the car go faster because we have propulsion with our alternator, and there's a rule written against it this year. It's like,
yeah.
I mean, if people are listening that close to me, you got to find a different hobby. But it's just unbelievable. You know, that I don't know. I mean, we're just trying to keep the cars alive. We're trying to keep them cool. We're trying to keep the voltage there. All of that stuff needs to be had to keep to get the car across the finish line. Yeah. Without an alternator in a Yamaha, you might as well not start the race. You know, and the other rule, which again I don't understand, is the boost limit rule, where the Yamaha is the only manufacturer to have that. All the other manufacturers are open to run whatever you want for boost, and why they felt the need to do that when the racing was, in my opinion, close. I mean, even when you look at how many wins Owen had versus how many wins. Or Owen or Rod, I don't know if Owen had all of them, but Yamaha's had versus Polaris had. I know CJ and Jeb went back and forth. Yeah. I felt like it was a pretty good. I mean, even qualifying, you know, sometimes the Polarises were faster, sometimes the Yamahas were faster. Just, you know, I know that the bigger tracks tended to favor the Yamahas a little bit more. Yeah. And the tighter tracks tend to favor the Polarises a little bit more with the CVT, but. Why they went and wrote that rule? I mean, if they want to make it a Polaris only side by side class, I guess just come out and say that. But
yeah. So is it just kind of brainstorming on it? The boost rule, is Polaris not able to maybe produce more boost efficiently? Or
I was able to produce a lot more boost.
Okay, so it's not like the production part is causing a ceiling.
No,
and the other ones.
Granted, there is a limit on it, you know, and I think Can-Am probably has the highest limit.
Okay.
On boost, you know, they have probably the biggest turbo and most fuel available to do that. But you know, the Polaris, yeah, they. I don't know if they changed anything last year for turbo stuff, but yeah, they you know, I was able to run. Yeah. In the mid-20s for boost, no problem with that. Was it efficient up there? It probably was at the end of its efficiency range, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not a ceiling issue there. So, yeah, it's interesting. You know, maybe it's like you said, maybe they're trying to make it more one-branded, but that doesn't really help the innovation. That's going to stifle cars coming to the track.
I think it's bad all the way around, because if you make it one-branded, I mean, what incentive does it give it for Polaris to innovate, you know, on a manufacturer level, or even put money in from a manufacturer level, if they know every year that they have the rules in their favor, they're going to just win it anyways. So, you know, that now they have no competition. They basically got rid of their competition by rules instead of by competing. Yeah. Which is unfortunate, but you know, if you do that, I don't see it good long term for the sport to eliminate your competition that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on that, I guess in that same way, then, what would your opinion be on like the number one thing that Champ should do to, you know, keep more manufacturers, keep the competition long term?
I think they need to look at, you know, obviously CJ's a very capable driver, Jeb's a very capable driver, Owen's very capable driver. You know, those are probably our top three in pro side by side, actually pro stock side by side too. You know, and when you look at their lap times, their qualifying times, you know, let it be data driven what you're going to change. And I don't see that the data is there to support a change. I think the competition was good last year. I think we had a lot of close racing, especially in pro side by side. I think let it be data driven, let it be, if you're going to make a weight change or make whatever, but they made a pretty drastic rule change, to really make a drastic difference. And I don't think that was warranted at all.
And it kind of feels like, and this is for me, the outside looking in, like feels like a pretty big rule change without probably data to support it.
Right. Or even talking to, they never reached out to any of the Yamaha guys before they made the rule change to say, hey, what's your opinion of this? So I don't know where that's coming from, but
Yeah.
I'm sure there's something higher up that I don't know about.
So with Yamaha making their announcement of discontinuing the Sport UTV,
Yeah,
we're still obviously going to have Yamahas that
for sure.
are probably, next 3 to 5 years.
Yep.
Do you think that void is going to be filled by another brand, or do you think we're just going to go down to a two manufacturer battle?
It really depends. I think if we can get another person on another brand to show it's competitive, but if we don't see that, there's a lot of people in the sportsman classes that want to basically buy their UTV and buy the parts they bolt onto it to make it competitive. And if we can't do that, it's going to become a one brand show. And I thought that Champ was trying to maintain that, but what they say and I guess what they're doing is clearly two different things. But
Yeah, and I mean, if you look back at 2017 when this thing all started blowing up, like you guys have been, as a company, Dirt Launcher Performance, have been supporting the racers and being able to get those products to make their vehicles last longer. So yeah, it's kind of disheartening to kind of see that products that were being made and developed for this solution are now being, kicked to the curb.
yeah, I that goes with innovation. I mean, you're not gonna, you have to stay on top of that, but at the same time, it's the rules that are, if it's going to become a one manufacturer class and there's no other competition, that's not a good thing for the sport long term.
Yeah, certainly not.
Yeah, so let's get into the most talented person you ever been like part of their program, whether it's like build, repair, setup, whatever that is.
So there's been a couple programs, last summer that was pretty closely involved with the Van Epperens and then Henderson, and both Owen and Jimmy, I feel are very talented in what they do. I mean, Owen went to another level this year as far as what he did, and I think his future is really promising. And Jimmy, he keeps growing every year, and if he, keeps incrementally growing like that, he's going to be something to reckon with too in Pro 4. So,
Yeah, I think Jimmy Henderson had a great year, and especially at the end of the year, they were putting it all together.
Finish strong. Yeah, he needs to run a whole year like that now. Go week in and week out, and I think that'll, that's going to set him apart, as a professional more than anything. Is can he do it week in and week out? I think last year he proved that. At least the last half of the year, I mean, it was on rails every race there. So
Yeah.
Owen obviously proved it week in, week out. Could do it every time. He was right there. He's always battling, if not winning, those races. So
Yeah. On the Owen subject, do you have any insight to their plans for next season?
I may. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be public pretty quick here, but I can probably let you guys know that it's.
Yeah, doing it the right way.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, especially at the level these pro classes are now. So
Yeah, and coming off of 2 championships, you don't want to be.
Yeah,
You don't want to look silly.
it's really easy to go out there and not perform well, and we don't want to do that. So
Yeah. Another class that we haven't really talked about much is Pro Buggy. You've got a bunch of involvement in that too.
yeah, we do a lot of the pro buggies. Michael Meister,
Yep.
we've done his buggy, and he's picked up a few championships. Jordan Bernlauer's picked up a championship. I think not. Did he come up short one year or just barely? Last year, I think he came up just a couple
Oh yeah,
points
it
short.
was between him and Minder.
Minder, yep.
And I thought it was all of just a few points.
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we support both Bernlauers, Meister. Who else are we?
Back in the day, JD, and then Lemke.
Lemke, we supported Hester back in the day. We did some work for Steiny.
Yeah.
So all those guys, as far as the ECU and tuning side. So thinking about maybe making a few parts that we've been requested to make if we can. We'll see how this year pans out.
Yeah, because that's a LE5, basically out of like a Cavalier.
Yeah, the 2.4 liter
Yep.
Ecotech engine.
What do you think of that that engine trans combo, the platform that they have built up?
That's good. I mean, the engine's pretty stock. I don't think guys are doing much other than valve jobs in there, but the trans is good. Most of the guys run Fortin trans. A couple of the guys run Mendiolas. The Fortin, just driving them on the dyno anyways, the Fortin seem to be a little smoother than the Mendiolas and seem to be a little bit more durable. The engine's fine. The biggest problem we have with those is the camshaft stuff, the variable valve timing.
Yeah.
Because we keep all that active. And, when the solenoids go bad, they stick, can cause a little havoc, cause them to run funny.
I think I've seen some windows in the side blocks too. Don't know if maybe RPM is a kind of restrictor on that engine.
Yeah, for sure. We limit the RPM on those for sure. I don't know if any of my guys have ever windowed a block, but
I don't think so. Maybe maybe Lemke had a bad. It's a.
Did he window a block?
Yeah, but I think it was all an engine issue. They had an engine that they got from a yard or something.
Oh yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
She might have not needed that extra. Extra little power.
So to get the buggies with the wider stance, did it take a while to get the dyno tuned in for the wider stance of the buggy, or
the buggy is actually a little bit narrower than the Pro 4.
Huh?
And the buggy fits on the dyno barely. The Pro 4 hangs off the side of the dyno.
Yeah. You just redid you have a new dyno room, don't you?
Yeah, we just did a new dyno room a couple of years ago now, but so it's all enclosed from the rest of the shop, which is nice, and it has a real nice air system in it. So I know the technicians there, all the guys at the shop are a lot happier that they're not inhaling exhaust fumes and listening to the Pro 4 noise. Some of those trucks are pretty loud.
Yeah,
so.
I was there getting my UTV tuned from you, and I felt bad for the guys, and I couldn't imagine when you got a Pro 4 in there. I think I'd just take an extended lunch.
Yeah. Yeah, the dyno literally used to be right next to the hoist. So, yeah. But no, it's good. It's good we got that. That was probably some of the best money that I've spent in that building to get that all shuffled and rearranged for my sanity, and I know all the rest of the guys' sanity.
So Beyond Redline does tuning, automotive repair, performance products, and manufacturing of performance products.
Yep, and wiring.
Oh, and wiring, yes.
Yep, full-blown race harnesses, manufacturing of a lot of the parts for the YXZ, and some Razor parts and some Can-Am parts that we've manufactured over time. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yep, that's all the off-road stuff is marketed under Dirt Launch Power Sports.
Yep.
So,
awesome. Yep. And then some truck products. Some of that stuff's proprietary, or
some of the stuff we do is proprietary for some of the race truck stuff, but definitely we make a lot of anything from drivetrain parts to suspension parts to engine parts, engine drive systems. We just redid a whole serpentine kit for the Toyota engines for Jimmy's Toyotas, to convert it to one serpentine belt, and just makes everything cleaner and simpler. So we made all the pulleys and everything in-house.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
One-stop shop.
So, yeah.
So, kind of dialing it to some old school talk back about the cars. I spent some time with Aaron, and he gave me some good insight and good stories about the beginning days. So, you got any good stories about mobbing the streets with the Eclipse?
It was a Talon, actually.
Oh, Talon, sorry.
DSM, but yeah, Talon. That's where we grew up. I don't know. You get away with what we did now, back then, but it was a lot of fun. That car was pretty ahead of its time, I'll say, for as far as what it could do. And not a lot of people knew about them back then, and how capable they were. I don't know, that car back then, it was like a high 11, low 12-second car, but there wasn't many things that could even run that back then on the street. And
it was the hot rod days. It was
the hot rod days. Did Aaron tell you about the, I don't even remember what it was. It was like a Chevelle or something that was, he was looking for a race, and we told him, me and Aaron were riding around, and we told him, yeah, we'll race you. And he looked at the car and he said, well, that's just an import. He goes, I'm not even going to start my car up for, less than $50. So we're like, all right. So me and Aaron, $50 was a lot back then, right?
Yeah.
Back in the late 90s. So me and Aaron looking at each other, and we pooled together what we had. We had $50 between us. We went out to the industrial park, and we raced, and I just remember the look on that guy's face, as we took off, and I passed him, and then he panicked and really spun the tires, and I pulled away from him, and he couldn't believe what in fact, it was kind of funny because at the end of it, he didn't even have $50 himself. He had to write us a check.
Yeah. That story checks out now.
Yeah.
That's the same story I got.
Yeah. He had to write us a check to cover his loss.
Yeah.
So
nowadays, how many people actually would even carry a check?
Yeah.
Well, now that back then it was.
Yeah. Back then it was pretty commonplace, but he was that confident he was going to beat us and beat us bad.
Yeah.
He couldn't believe that he lost.
Yeah.
So was that like your typical Saturday night now, like back then?
Back then, yeah, we would go out and it was fun because it was nobody expected it from that car. So
yeah. So the flip side of that story, I gotta ask about if the Supra story.
Which one?
You guys met up there was a phone call, and they said, hey, we got this guy in town and he wants some.
Oh yeah. So that was the first time I met Lou. Lou was the owner of the Supra, and that car made a lot of power. He had bought that car all done. Car made a lot of power, and that car was really fast for its time.
Yeah.
Not so much in Supra land now, but we went to the same spot in the industrial park, and we raced. And I remember as soon as they dropped their arms, the center diff in my car broke, and I lost rear drive, so it was just front drive. So it just spun, and I watched the Supra go screaming by me like I was standing still.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh dang, we had a rematch probably, I don't know, maybe a month later or something after I got it all fixed back up, and I was able to cover him that time. But he was coming like a freight train at the top end of the track. That car was quick out of the hole for a second gear, but yeah, that car was something else.
Yeah, it must have been a separate one that Aaron was telling me about, but he was the flagger, so he always had the quick hands.
Yep.
And you took off like a lightning bolt, and he's like, all right, sweet, we got this already in the bag. And that Supra took off. Brrr.
It was the first time we raced. Yep.
Yeah.
Aaron flagged. I remember that, and I took off, and I got like not even through first gear, and the center diff broke.
Yeah.
And I lost rear drive in the car, and then it just was a spinning mess. And that Supra, that was enough time for him to take off like a turtle and go screaming by me. That car was so much faster than mine. Like if we would go from a 70 roll or something like that, that thing would just eat me for lunch. But going out of the hole with all-wheel drive was a lot better.
Yeah, it seems like that was
for me.
That was the golden era of automotive, probably.
That was probably right before the first Fast and Furious came out when all that happened, and obviously Fast and Furious, what happened there, kind of exploded that scene to a whole new level. Yeah. There's hundreds of people out all over town every Saturday, Friday, Saturday night.
Yeah, and then my generation came around, and we couldn't even be parked in a parking lot for 5 minutes without getting kicked out.
Oh, we would sit there for a couple hours before the cops would show up usually. Yeah.
I think it's coming back a little bit more now where you can.
I've been so far removed from that scene, I don't even know where to go anymore. So
When was like then your first real drag strip racing experience?
that was still in high school when I actually went to the drag track. In Kakana, I went on a Friday night. It was a high school night back when they did high school nights. And that was fun. I mean, the waiting in line for hours just to make one pass was got a little bit old, but that was fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
I kind of miss that drag racing sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those waits in between are kind of the social hour.
Yes. Yeah.
But it does kind of suck when you're trying to dial something in.
Yeah, I was trying to dial something in and just, get going on that. But yeah.
Yeah. What is the Talon doing nowadays?
Talon is sitting. It's sitting in my storage garage. Probably be something maybe me and my son will get back to someday.
Yeah.
With all the off-road stuff, it's hard to make time for that. I mean, I barely have time to make time for what we're doing in off-road. So
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you have the same situation I do. All the parts sitting there and no time to put it together.
yeah, actually, there's a old engine now, but brand new engine I put in there and a brand new transmission and stuff. It's all in the car. Just has to be wired and hooked up. But yeah, I need time.
Know any good wiring guys?
Yeah, I need to find a good wiring guy.
So apart from that, then you've been a part of BMW motorcycle tuning,
Yep.
speedboat tuning,
Yep.
drag racing cars we talked about, street cars we talked about, 100 other things. What is the most unique thing you've tuned?
The boat thing is a little bit unique. That might be the most unique thing I've tuned, because the deal with the boat thing is it's really hard, and I never realized how hard this was going to be when I first got going in it. I thought it was going to tune like your typical any engine out there, really, automotive engine, whatever. And the calibrations for those are so much different, and I went through such a steep learning curve through those to make them work. Now it's no big deal, know exactly what to do. But man, I mean, I remember when I kind of got thrown into the big end of that. I never started out like on I started out on a 388 skater. If anybody knows what one of those is, it's a higher end boat. And then on top of that, it was a 650 cubic inch all billet Hemi, with twin superchargers on it. And I had to design all the electronics for it, what we were going to do. And it was kind of unique because I had a chance to see another boat work, and I knew what one of the big problems we were going to have, because those have such big props, is when you put it from neutral into drive or neutral into reverse is a little easier. There was such a load on the engine that it would want to stall all the time.
Oh, wow.
And those engines didn't make a lot of torque down there because they were meant to make power up top, power from 5,000 on up. So when they're idling at, say, 1,300 RPM in neutral. When they put them in gear, they want to idle them lower. They have pretty big camshafts in them, so they're tough to make them idle lower. But I was able to get them to idle around 900 RPM to keep the drives, when they're trying to dock at 900 RPM, and one of those with that big prop is so fast. It's like 11 miles an hour, 12 miles an hour.
Oh, geez.
When you're coming into a dock at that speed, it's
fast.
You got to be constantly in and out of gear, in and out of gear, in and out of gear. And the other really unique thing is when you load them that hard at 900 RPM, they make about 2 to 3 pounds of boost at idle.
Yeah. So
couple that with the cold water coming through the engine, and I feel like we were breaking the laws of physics, because it would condense the fuel so fast, like up against the cylinder head and inside the combustion chamber, that it was so tough to model that, because a lot of that fuel at idle was sliding past the ring, and you had to account for that.
Yeah.
That was really, really tough to get that to work. and they're so sensitive. Those engines were so sensitive to any sort of air fuel change. They would backfire and do all kinds of stupid stuff. If they were just either a little rich or a little lean, they had a real small window they had to be operated in.
Yeah.
So that was probably the most challenging and probably the most unique experience. But what we ended up doing, this was, 12, 13 years ago now. They had typical throttle bodies on them, 2 of them, one for each supercharger, and they were big. I don't remember the size of them, but I want to say maybe 150 millimeter throttle bodies for each supercharger. But the idle motor was unique. What I ended up doing was taking a throttle body off of it was a Chevy Spark.
Okay, so a littler car.
Littler car, and that was my idle motor.
Oh, okay.
So all the idle air went through there. So in neutral, that throttle body was anywhere from fully closed to maybe 5% open. Once you shifted to drive, that thing would go 95% open, almost 100%, and then settle back down around 60 to 70%, just to keep the amount of air that needed for them to drive forward to keep them from stalling.
Yeah.
But, we initially tried stacking a couple, I think they were Volvo idle motors, the pulse width modulated ones.
Yeah, just little puck seater deals.
Yep, 4 of those on top of one another, it wasn't enough air.
Jeez.
So that's when I looked at that, I said we need to step up to something bigger, and that was a unique deal. And that throttle body that drives the whole car forward was literally an idle motor on one of these boat engines. So boats are unique because they're so loaded for so long. Once you get them going and you get them out in the water, they're so loaded that if you make a calibration mistake, you're gonna know about it real fast.
Yeah.
And they were expensive. Engines, being all billet, custom things. So, and they would melt fast. It was all pump gas stuff too.
Yeah.
So they were, I think they made 1,920 horse each engine. So that was a lot of power and pump gas.
Yeah.
To make that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So these were race boats, or were these?
No, these are they call them pleasure boats or poker on boats.
Okay.
Just
guys that want to have fun.
Yeah. It's large storage capacities.
Yes. Yeah.
So, do you think like the wide range of things that you've worked on and tuned has helped you in the off-road?
For sure, without a question. I mean, I've had guys tell me that all the time. They're like, you're so lucky because you see all this stuff. You see, streetcar stuff to race car stuff to boats. The motorcycle was a unique deal because, I've never owned a motorcycle before.
Oh.
I've had my motorcycle license since I've been 19, never owned a motorcycle. So I don't know the ins and outs and dynamics of it. So when I first showed up to BMW to help calibrate these bikes, I didn't understand, what you could get away with at what lean angle as far as how much power you could apply, how much tire slip was allowed, all that stuff. So that was a learning curve there. But the dynamics there, to learn all that was really, that helped. That helped a lot. The BMW stuff was really, really advanced, and it made me almost go back to school on math. We had a lot of math in that. Wow. So a lot of calculus, a lot of trig, a lot of stuff that, I hadn't done for a while.
Yeah.
We don't normally do an off-road, but I feel like that's made me better with some of the stuff and how I look at some of the off-road stuff, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because I think off-road is, when everybody looks at this data and stuff, a lot of guys are like, well, what does that really tell me? Because the track is going to change every single time. But,
right.
Once you know how to apply all those numbers.
Yeah. That's it. The challenge about off-road is you never get the same surface twice.
Yeah.
So how do you with Superbike, it was like you knew a crack on the track, what it was going to do to the bike. Lap after lap after lap, it was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And, if they're a foot off where they're supposed to be, with the pro riders in Superbike, they weren't a foot off of where their marks were. So you'd see the same thing time after time after time. And there it was a lot of rider aids, how much torque we should apply to the tire, how we should apply to the tire with the throttle, traction control, wheelie control.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Engine braking, all of that stuff. And literally, I would calibrate for every corner of every track.
Yeah.
It was a different calibration of the bike, even different gears. So second gear at this corner might be different calibration completely as second gear over here in this corner of the track. So, yeah.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of math.
Yeah, it was just a lot of math because you had to know, we had to know when the bike was at, a certain lean angle, which we could keep track of with sensors. We had to know what the tire diameter was because that changed our gear ratio.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that, it gets down to that where you got to know that, and you got to know how much torque you apply with that diameter tire and what all that stuff. So, yeah.
Then you mentioned earlier too about the sprint car that was with Toyota.
Yeah.
That was with DeBerti, right?
No. DeBerti was they did their that Tacoma. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Yep, the Tacoma. It's got it's almost like a digital camo type design. Yep.
Exactly. So yeah, I went down and helped with that. That was that engine was built by TRD, which I still work with quite a bit to this day.
Yeah.
The same group of guys doing those engines, and so I went down and helped get that thing first up and running and get the data on that and make sure we didn't do anything weird to the engine or anything. And they had a film crew down there. We went to like a Charlotte Motor Speedway, did some filming there. Then we went to a Michelin test facility, did some filming there.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty neat, unique experience. So yeah, that was fun.
Did you help them at all with? I know it's not Toyota, but it was. They call it the Tire Slayer. That was a double axle.
No,
Okay.
I didn't help that. I've seen that truck, but no, I didn't help with that at all.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Just the Toyota one, yeah.
I've seen it in person, I think twice now, and
Yep.
I've never seen it turn the tires.
Oh, yeah, I haven't even seen that truck run ever, but
It's not living up to its name of Tire Slayer.
yeah, Brad and Doug were. I mean, their characters. They're awesome guys, though. Had a lot of fun with those guys, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're on the Toyota subject, so I think I gotta ask it. Whatever kind of happened with the Greaves and that marriage that you guys had in the beginning?
Well, I think there was just it's competition, right? So Jimmy was brought up under the Greaves tent,
Yep.
and because of that, I had to help Jimmy, or did help Jimmy because it was Toyota engine, still is to this day Toyota engine in Jimmy's trucks. But I helped with that to make sure they lived and calibrated out right and stuff. And I think once Jimmy started to show the promise of what he is today, that he was fast, at that point, I was almost forced into a decision whether I help both teams or go to help one. So, yeah. And
It's hard to play the fence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't my decision, but ultimately I had to make it, and I had to make a decision. That's where I was, and I like to think that when I tell a guy something, when I tell Jimmy I'm going to help him, I can't just turn my back on him. So
Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense. So, what is one area that you see in the off-road racing industry where you think maybe is an opportunity for someone to come in and provide something that you see is needed?
That's a good question. What are we being underserved with right now, I guess? A lot of these companies that make I feel like a lot of the companies that make a lot of the buggy parts are all West Coast guys. Even transmission stuff, it's all coming from California.
Yeah.
And I feel like if we had more of that available here, because really Crandon's the Mecca, that's the head of short course. Yeah. We have a lot of teams up here, but we don't have a lot of people that make a lot of the parts up here.
Yeah.
If we had more of that, it maybe.
That makes sense. I think I've heard that a few times where it's just alluding back to earlier in the conversation, we were talking the short period in between races, sometimes trying to get a part from the West Coast over here in certain scenarios makes it tough.
CarTech is a place that a lot of people use, right?
Yeah.
And everything, if you're going to get parts from them between races, you're next daying the stuff.
Yeah.
it'd be nice to have a car tech in Appleton or something,
Yeah, I've been to that facility, and it's
Yeah.
awesome to see. I mean, we back in the day we used to have speed shops,
Yeah.
stuff like that, but now it's just unfortunately we're for speed shops and off road. That's pretty much the
Yeah.
headquarters.
Yeah, it is. Yep. It's tough. I mean, with the internet, CarTech obviously does a really good job. I think the closest thing we might have is Pegasus.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That has, but they're more focused on road racing. If we had a off-road version of that,
Yep.
it'd be helpful
Somebody
for a
that
lot
would
of teams.
carry oil tanks and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, we have the Jags and Summit, but they're kind of general or maybe even drag racing, street car stuff.
Yep.
CarTech's really the off-road.
Yeah.
We don't have the desert people around here to maybe support it.
Yeah.
That's probably the problem.
Yeah. There's it's like a culture out there to be
Yeah.
just go mobbing around the desert.
Yep.
But
Yeah, I would say that's probably pretty accurate because you're right. There is a big, just desert part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, you've reached the checkered flag, which means we've got
All done?
four questions left, but
Almost all done.
two of them are pretty hefty.
All right, so we'll jump into one of our favorite segments. Let's get into a top 5 greatest all time.
Greatest all time. Let's see. Going back, we'll throw in a couple older drivers in there, I guess. Greatest, maybe. I mean, doesn't have to be the best driver. I guess we'll say greatest driver because what they did on and off the track. But
Yeah.
Jack Flannery's got to be in that conversation. Walker Evans. Let's see. We had Scotty Taylor did a lot for Pro 2. Carl Rennesener for both Pro 2 and Pro 4. And I mean, Kyle LeDuc had, I don't know how many wins he had, but he had a lot of wins.
Yeah.
He had 90.
Yeah, I don't know the number, but yeah, it was.
I thought it was close to 100.
Yeah.
He's got to be
It
right
was
up there
it was
too.
a lot between both the race series.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He'd allow racing and a lot of winning
And championships.
in championships. Did he have 9?
I think he was right there with competing with that high number of 10.
With CJ,
So
yeah.
I think it was 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go with that.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's a great list, and that's the one thing I always wish we would have got more Kyle LeDuc, and yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I hear that name, I'm like, man, it was so fun watching him wheel a car.
Yeah, just the competitiveness of him
Yeah.
on the track and the aggressiveness that he brought out.
It was every time he was on the track. I mean, that race at Year X between him and CJ was one of the best races, I think,
Yeah.
of all time Pro 4. But he had a lot of highlight moments in his career for sure.
Yeah.
And you always knew anytime he was on the track, he left it all on the track.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Sometimes literally.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's the famous photo where didn't he roll on his side right at the finish line, and he copped out of his truck and he was on the truck.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah, I think I
Maybe, I
don't
don't-
remember that one.
Me either.
Yeah. I'll have to look back.
If
see
we
I
if we
find
had
that
Trad
photo.
sitting here, I'm sure he would know exactly.
He would. Yeah, he would give us the whole history.
It's a shame. I kind of wish I would have got to meet him when he was still alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had a lot of Trad's obviously got me up to speed a little bit on
Yeah.
Kyle, and I mean now looking back, yeah, he had a lot of success.
Yeah.
So now, spinning back to your off-road racing history, what is the most memorable moment you've had racing?
Or just in off-road general. Then don't even have to be particularly racing yourself or being part of a crew or
Most memorable moment. I mean, there's been so many. I was part of the team that won countless side-by-side championships over the years, and countless pro. With helping CJ with countless Pro 4 champions. I'm just trying to think what the most memorable moment was. I mean, it's easy to remember the recent stuff, stuff that happened last year.
Yeah.
One of the most memorable moments for me was the ice race in Eagle River, winning that. That was pretty fun.
Yeah,
To do that.
Arctic Derby, they called it, or
Yeah. Yep. I think it was the last side-by-side sports race ever.
yeah,
Yep. So that was pretty fun.
yeah. That was on the Eagle River, like the snowmobile oval deal. Yeah.
Yep. We cut through the middle, and then halfway through the race at the Comp Yellow, I think we reversed direction and then did oval for the final. So, yep.
That series was always known for changing it up.
Yeah, just doing something crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's something that stands out more than that. There's just been, there's been a lot of awesome things. I don't know if any one event just stands out on top.
Yeah.
That I can put at the top.
Yeah. When the bucket's extremely full, it's probably hard to find the exact one.
Just even some of my personal stuff, like even watching Jimmy's truck work for the first time with paddle shift. It was pretty cool to watch that all happen and watch it all work and see what you did work and actually do well and not fail during the race. So there was a lot of pressure on that, from the first hit to make that work right away and not have a DNF because of that.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
a lot going on with that stuff. So, yeah.
So one question we also always like to ask is, who do you think we should interview next?
Have you interviewed Trad yet?
Nope.
You got to put him on your list. Have you interviewed Jimmy yet?
Nope.
Got to put him on your list.
All right.
One of those two.
Yeah, or both.
Or both.
We have multiple microphones.
Yeah.
Or we can do multiple episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you coming on and talking about the technology and bringing the steering wheel and everything. And
Yeah, we'll gladly hang that on the wall.
It should be a good wall hanger for around here.
Yeah.
Wait, how am I going to run my car then? Kind of need that.
Yeah, you got the rest of the off season. You
Yeah,
can make
we got to
another,
make
right?
another one, yeah.
Yeah. No, but thank you for taking the time out. I know you're very, very busy, and there's always a lot to be doing, and to take your time out like this. And,
Well, yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. And yeah, it was awesome to be able to talk about it. I guess what I do a little bit behind the scenes and see it come to fruition on the track. That's rewarding in itself, seeing that.
Yeah.
And of course, I guess I got to say the team I have behind me is so important to my success and our success, from Zach, who's helping machine and design all these parts, like the steering wheel, like the part we talked about for Kyle Cheney. We had Ben that does so much of the fabrication work for all the control arms we made for the side-by-sides. Alex, we touched on him with all the wiring, and the rest of the guys at the shop to just help with my car and help keep me organized and stuff.
Yeah. It takes an army.
Takes an army to make it. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you test parts like you do.
Oh man, I love doing it, but man, sometimes sometimes you're just like, why isn't this working? It should be working, and yeah.
Awesome. Thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.